pals have come together to bring you strong opinions, controversial statements, epic battles, and plenty of fun. Introducing our host, the man who watches 52 movies a week, drinks 52 beers a movie, loves women but hates the woman. From the foreign land of Canada, our host, Mood616. He is widely known as the man who talks too much. His worst enemies are Postmaster P and Pee-wee Herman. He said Hellraiser was overrated and Leprechaun Origins wouldn't suck. He's the full-blooded half-Mexican, JP. Finally, we have the man who doesn't talk enough. He is best friends with Sean S. Cunningham. His favorite horror movie is Gummo. He is your favorite Jew and mine, Jeremy. Together they are known for extending a helping hand to vampircons everywhere. They are the 22 shots of moods and horror.
Yes, y'all, it's going down right now. Episode 146 of the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast is coming at you live. I am your host, MC Italian Icy, aka Moods. Yeah. And of course, I got my two co-hosts behind me on the wheels of steel, DJ Cannoli, aka JP, and of course, DJ Olive Jew, aka Jeremy. What's going on, guys? Yeah, Italian month is back in the house.
It is. It's
that was a fast year. It's kind of crazy.
Dude, it is. You know, Mood said something too the other day. He was like, wow, there's only 7 episodes in between the 76 show and the 82 show. I think it was 7 or something, but that kind of blew my mind. And then I was updating our banner from last year for Italian Horror Month, and looking at those, it doesn't even seem like many episodes have passed since then too.
Yeah,
we're on episode 146 tonight, and I think last Italian Horror Month was what? Do you guys remember?
No.
Dude, you guys...
What is this, a future episode where we try and guess what episode fucking old Italian horror months are?
Well, I'm just going to tell you what.
Where's Derek when we need him?
I feel like it was...
It was episode 120 through 123.
5. No.
120 through 123, which was last year's Italian Horror Month. So, you know, it doesn't... It feels so close, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So how did we manage to have Eli Roth in the middle of that? What the hell happened here?
In the middle of what?
Italian Horror Month last year.
Eli Roth is 132.
The Hostel trilogy?
That's 124.
I'm confused as fuck right now.
What do you mean?
Dude, I'm totally tripping balls. I'm looking at my videos here and I'm like, wait a minute. I was looking at 125 and I was looking at these directors and shit, but 125 was a Gene Roland director spotlight.
It just kind of looks like Italian Horror Month.
Because there was literally 1, 2, 3, 6 directors spotlights technically in a row.
Dude, we were going hard on the director spotlights.
I just totally had a trip out session there. That was crazy. But yeah, no, not that long ago. Crazy. But yes, Italian Horror Month, and I have to say, man, I got to give it up to all the peeps everywhere, man, on Insta shit and our fucking Facebook group. Mm-hmm. People, man, been posting, you know, and
hashtag Italian Horror Month,
Italian Horror Month everywhere, and I'm like, man, you know, it's like something that we are gonna take credit
revolution
for because we actually came up with this idea, and people are just all of a sudden following through. That's pretty cool. I like it.
This was one of my goals when I came up with the Italian Horror Month idea and brought it to you, is I want to create a month that celebrates Italian horror, and I want it actually to become a real thing. Like, not just something that we do. I want it to become known thing.
Can't lie. It was selfish reasons, because I remember having this conversation with you behind closed doors, and I remember you distinctly saying, you're like, man, I need to watch more Italian horror. So if I create a whole month dedicated to Italian horror,
right.
I will it'll force me to watch Italian horror movies. And I'm like, hey, man, you're killing 2 birds with one stone there.
I'm all about killing 2 birds with one stone. It's one of my favorite things to do in life.
Yeah. Hey man, we're this is the 4th year for Italian Horror Month, so it's going strong. People enjoy it and they are supporting it, which is a good thing. And
not really, because the view count isn't really that high on our
That's not true. I mean, it comes up. It's never super high when we first post, but you got to keep in mind too, people are burnt out on horror November 1st. You know what I mean? So, and we do it. And that's why it's kind of interesting, because a lot of the films we cover in Italian Horror Month are actually technically not horror films. So it's kind of, it kind of gives you a breather to watch, you know, a little bit different things. A lot of them are horror films, but we've definitely covered some questionable films during Italian Horror Month.
It all depends on how you look at it, man.
Especially because a lot of the giallos aren't 100% horror, but, you know.
But yeah, I was surprised, you know, right at the end of, you know, the 31 Days of Horror, you know, people were like, I'm so pumped for Italian month and shit. And I'm just like, yeah, that enthusiasm is, you know, amazing. I love that shit. And people are already posting up their pics and Italian month for life and shit. And it's fucking cool, man. I'm really digging it.
What about
shit,
hashtag
man.
French month? Come on. Revolution number 2.
We should make February French month.
Oh God,
because it's short.
No,
is it a leap year? We only got 28 days next year or some shit.
I do want to return to, like, see, this is something that the Patreon guys should pay attention to. Just because you're buying the director's spotlight, if you read it, it doesn't just mean that. Like, you can do a French themed show, or, like, you know, it doesn't have to be a director with 3 films. You could do a themed episode, and I always wanted to do an Ozploitation too, and Derek did actually do that in the past. He did an Irish show for us once.
Yeah.
We did an Irish one.
Well, I've been pleading to do an Ozploitation, you know, 2, second one, sequel, whatever you want to call it, because, you know, I love me some Aussie films, and I think a lot of other people do too. You know, I think once we've introduced, I mean, I'm not saying we were the sole, you know, introducers of some of these films, but I know that some of these films, like Wake and Fright, has become a huge hit with people, you know, and I'm taking credit for that shit.
That's like Phantom's Carriage has become a huge hit because of me.
True.
I feel like it has because of you. I don't think many people knew about it. I surely didn't really.
No, that was one film that he introduced me to also. But, yeah, man. Yeah. Ozploitation for sure. I like those. I like those themed country shows, man. I'm a big fan of that shit. I always have been.
Yeah, I am too. And you could say that, like, Sam has given us a couple of Asian directors shows, which are sort of themed, you know, to that country. But at the same time, it's more themed to that director. So yeah, if anybody wants to, you know, I'm down for a French show, or you know, Ozploitation Volume 2, or an Irish Volume 2, or even some, like, super bizarre country that it's only made 3 horror films. That would be kind of funny, huh?
Bosnia.
Yeah. It's
Let's
like the 3 horror films that came out of Bosnia. You'd hear on the 22 shots. I know that Mark, was it Mark? I can't remember. Somebody gave us that one movie, remember, like, Sweat Shop or something? It was called something like Sweat House or something.
Yeah, Sweat Shop.
We did it. No. The song, it was called Sauna.
That weird period.
Sauna was cool, man. I like that movie.
It was alright.
I really enjoyed that.
It was okay.
That was pretty cool. And you know, shout out to Derek. He actually he's the first person to grab one of the franchises that we had listed for an upcoming show, which won't be anytime very soon, but in a few months we'll get to it. It's going to be the Dead series. This is something that I've wanted to do forever. We've never done the Dead series.
Well, finally, my favorite horror film of all time is going to be reviewed. I'm the last of the 3 here.
I wonder what rating you're going to give it.
We've done the Child's Play. We've done the Child's Play franchise. We did the TCM franchise, and now we're doing the Dead franchise, which is super fucking cool for me. And we were actually kind of before the show, we were pre-gaming, and I said, you know, the hardest thing about doing the 6 original films in the Dead franchise is picking what version of Dawn of the Dead to watch. Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, it doesn't really matter. You know, the Argento cut's quite different. I personally always watch the extended cut because it's just more Dawn of the Dead. But
now the real question is, do I keep my Land of the Dead Universal Blu-ray that I bought a long time ago, or do I get the Scream Factory one?
I'll probably grab the Scream Factory for this.
I actually only had it on DVD before I grabbed the Scream Factory, so it was.
I saw that motherfucker back in theaters.
That's probably, honestly, I'm almost more excited to talk about the second half of the Dead series, because I've literally don't think I've ever talked to anybody about those films in like a critical way, and I haven't seen them any of them in like 10 plus years.
I feel like the conversation on Survival of the Dead is just going to get mean because that movie's really bad.
Yeah,
but I haven't watched it in a long time either, so watching with the critical, I mean, it's probably getting me even worse.
Is that the found footage one, or is that Diary?
No, it's Diary.
I liked Diary and Land, but I do remember not liking Survival at all.
They degrade
maybe there'll be some like special features or something I could dive into and kind of see. Maybe we could talk where George's head was at or something like that. So who knows? Try to keep it a little more positive.
I've always been a big fan of Land of the Dead, man. I think that movie is pretty fun.
I said the same thing. I said that Land of the Dead is one of those movies that, now that time has passed, what did you hear about Land of the Dead when it first came out in the first couple years after? It's trash, right? Now it seems like people like, and I liked it from the beginning like you did, Moods, but it seems to have that Halloween 3 effect where now people are coming around and being like, you know what, this was not a bad attempt to continue the Dead series. This is actually a pretty solid movie with some cool social commentary in it. It is a George Dead film. It just didn't have maybe the money that you expected, or, you know, a little later in his career. But when you really look at it, you know, it has the same themes and everything that all of his films had before that.
Yeah, and you can just see the budgets on his film because he started making his films in Canada. And then, you know, Diary of the Dead. For me, the most frustrating thing about Diary of the Dead was the fact that I felt like George was always a person that I felt would never conform to bullshit. You know, he was always trying to tell his own views and shit. And by doing a found footage film that was of the times, and everybody was doing found footage films, and I was almost ashamed for him, you know, to kind of conform to doing something that was popular at the time and not really being George himself. And it was a frustrating thing. But the movie itself, I hated when it first came out, and it was for selfish reasons. I was like, dude, George, like, you're conforming to this bullshit. And I'm not all about that, but it just kind of annoyed me that George has always been kind of his own person, his own thing. He always has his own ideas and does his own thing because he usually doesn't give a fuck about anything. But when the found footage film came out, it was frustrating as hell to me. I was like, really? Like, there was 100,000 movies that came out that year, and like half of them were fucking found footage films. And I was like, this is crazy. And but I got past that, and I actually went back and watched it a couple times. It's not as bad as I remember it being. You know, he's got some social commentary in it.
What if George, you know, even though found footage was popular at the time, what if George just was like, oh, I like this. This is kind of an interesting little style, and it had nothing to do with trying to capitalize on the success and more to do with like, I can make a cool like social commentary on with this technique, you know what I mean? So you never know if it was like him, you know, going against what he's always done or not, you know?
Yeah, I don't really know. I haven't really watched a lot of the special features on it, but I mean, it is a little bit coincidental considering the timing of the film. You know, I mean, he wouldn't have made that found footage film when he made Land of the Dead kind of thing. Probably not, you know, but
yeah,
who knows? Who knows? I mean, again, features help. And and
that's something that I will plan on doing when we do that show. Is I'm gonna spend a lot of time actually looking at I'm gonna take that episode pretty serious because I really like those films, and I think that like people have talked them to death. So if we're gonna talk about them, I want to take it pretty serious and try to get some background information. There's so many. I mean, hell, there's so much stuff you can learn about those movies too.
Yeah, I agree.
Pop in the Anchor Bay Dawn of the Dead Blu-ray. That's way overpriced.
Wow.
The Anchor Bay one, nice. Yeah, man, I gotta congratulate you, both you guys.
Me?
Off the top of the show, man. JP, thank you for proving me right once again and failing at the 31 Days of Horror on day 21. Yeah. Dude, I have to say that shit made me laugh so fucking hard because it wasn't like 2 days before we were just talking about it. And I'm like, hey, man, day 21's approaching. Hey, you know what that means, right? That's failure.
I failed on day 21 multiple times. Like, that's the third time I've failed on day 21.
So, it's like that 3-week mark is like, that's bad luck day for you, man. Something happens.
It is. Well, you know, one of the things is it seems like we always have a big show right around day 21. And I'm just like, I don't even know how I'm going to watch a movie and review it. What the most messed up thing about this whole thing is I actually had movies watched and videos recorded that I never uploaded. You know what I mean? So it wasn't to where I didn't have time to actually upload, like, you know, watch the movie, make the video, upload it. I actually just got really lazy. The first night my camera was dead when I got home, and you know, it was just a mess. But I still have I have most of the things done right now. I just need to upload them. But yeah, it just, you know, and hey, listen, I passed last year. That was a huge feather in my cap. So I'm like, well, you know, I could take a few years off of passing again.
I actually had a lot of damn fun this year. It didn't feel hard at all.
I'm definitely doing what you said next year about pre-recording all of my videos before 31 days, so I can truly just enjoy.
Dude, we usually take a lot of time off in the summer. Just record a
That's
video
what
here
I'm
and
gonna
there.
do. I'm gonna go buy Halloween lights. I'm gonna set up and make it look like Halloween.
Yeah, but you say you're gonna do that for like the year roundup shows, and you never do it anyway. So
What do you mean?
You say you're gonna like watch a shitload of 72 films before we do the show. How many
I
72
did watch a
films
shitload.
How many 72 films have you watched?
2.
Moods, how many have you watched?
More than you thought, huh?
I haven't watched one since we've announced the 72 show, but
Well, we all know Brandon's probably at like 47 or something.
I've seen a lot. I'd say you got the list. I've seen a lot of them, but I think that is going to be an interesting show.
Yeah, honestly, dude, I was looking at you know how I was down on the 70s, right? I actually like quite a lot of films that came out in 72.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Well, I have a feeling this might be a very, very diverse top 10 list.
Which was not the case with 82.
Yeah, there was a lot of repeats for sure.
No,
for sure.
the most ever, I think.
And on that note, I want to congratulate Jeremy for having the most popular
I finally won
list for 1982. He definitely got a lot of pity votes there. And actually,
I don't know how.
Somebody made a funny ass comment.
Kind of.
I don't know who it was. Maybe it was Sam. Somebody's like, Jeremy won because he had a non-horror film on there, and that shit made me laugh. But you know, me and Brandon had purposely left off Class 84, and I get it. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, Jeremy won.
I purposely left it off too, and it wouldn't have made it if I did leave it in.
Yeah.
So. Dude, it's weird. Like, I don't know. That was one of the shows. I think we had. I'll do the math later, but I think we had the most repeats of all time. As in, like, if you count every unique film on a list, like some years obviously have a lot more than others. 96 had a lot of the same. 86 had a lot of the same. 2002 even had a lot of the same. But I want to say that this might break the record for the most of the same. But I'll do an official count later. But speaking of the 82 show, we got some inductees to induct into the Hall of Fame because we didn't keep track on the episode, so we'll just do that on this episode.
Yes.
So, the first film that qualified and made it in was Poltergeist with a 28 out of 30 total rating. So, what did you didn't have that one on your list, did you, Moods?
No, and when you sent me the Hall of Famers, I was like, fucking seriously? That didn't even make my top 10 and it's in the Hall of Fame.
I completely was I'm surprised to know that because I thought you loved that movie.
I do love it.
You probably do, but it's competition, obviously.
It is, and like that was the problem. I had about 5 or 6 films that were all fighting for a couple spots. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't know, man. That's just what happens with these lists, I guess. But yeah, there was a tough one to leave off because I've watched it a couple times last year, and I really enjoy that film. I mean, Spielberg did a great job directing that movie.
Yeah.
There he goes with the same joke.
It's funny because it's fucking true. It's so true.
It's just like 4Gay.
No, I love 4Gay.
Oh God, Jeremy, you're the worst, and everybody you fucking repeat your same shit over and over again.
I know.
But I mean, the Toby Hooper thing is pretty funny.
Yeah. The second film is probably the best film to make it, considering it did get 3 10s from, I think it might have even got 5 10s. or 6 10s. I think Brandon gave it a 9.5. It's The Thing.
I gave it a
Moods
9.
gave it a 10. Did you?
Yeah.
9.5? It has
No, I gave it a 10.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Oh, there's Brandon
it
being different again with his 9.5. Yeah. What seriously, how do you give The Thing a 9.5?
He said, I just don't remember what he said.
Yeah, no, he said because he didn't like the ambiguity of the who's the thing when they're the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon should get less like negative votes. Who had let's put a poll up who had the worst.
Doesn't like the ambiguity.
Because you only had one vote.
That's insane.
You clearly have the worst
idea.
One.
That's what adds to that's what adds to the terror of it. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And then Creepshow made it, which was another film that I don't think made your list, right? No, either of you guys?
It didn't make my list. Man, I don't know what the fuck happened with Creepshow this year, but I rewatched it and I was like, yeah, I love Creepshow, but that one's another one that's kind of fallen off for me a little bit. Mm-hmm. I still love Creepshow, don't get me wrong, but it's just I was having, these lists are of the times, and we know that. These lists always can change and stuff, but as the day when I made the list, man, Creepshow it was sitting at number 12 for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a rough one, The Creepshow, and the opposite. The thing happened with me is I actually liked it more than I ever have watching it this time. So, that.
And the irony is that the day after we recorded the show, I got the Scream Factory in the mail. And I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is.
So Creepshow makes it with a 28 out of 30. This is a cool title to make it. Tenebrae finally gets in because our original episode where we covered Tenebrae, it was a 9.5 from Moods, a 9 from me, and an 8.5 from Jeremy on episode 120. And that's not enough to make it in.
I'm still a little bit shocked. I know I mentioned that before, Jeremy, but the 8.5, it's still a film I would figure that you would at least give a 9.
I bumped it up to a 9.
Did you bump it up in this episode?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know if I get my rating, but...
Yeah, you probably did.
Yeah.
What was... Okay, yeah, you bumped it to a 9. Yep, you did. So, it makes it in with a 28.5. So, without Brandon, it would have made it in this year because of Jeremy bumping his rating up, I think. And the final one was Alone in the Dark, which is a surprise, making it in with Moods, Brandon, and Jeremy.
Yep.
Yeah, buddy.
That's a good film.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is a good film, but it's a surprise. Like, if you look at the titles that are there, I don't think many people would have predicted Alone in the Dark. Well, I wouldn't have because I've never seen it until then.
I was definitely saddened that the New York Ripper and Pieces didn't make it, but then again, I looked at the list, or I was thinking about it, and I was like, I think only 2 people even had the New York Ripper, and I think I might have been the only one with Pieces. So that didn't even have a fucking chance.
Yeah, the New York Ripper, that's an interesting one because that's actually a film that we did review on the show before, and I don't know who had it on their list. Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon had it.
Or did Christian have it too?
No, Brandon. Oh no, Christian had it on there too, I think.
Okay, so Brandon actually bumped his rating from the initially when we reviewed it. He gave it an 8 in this one. And he gave it a 7.5 back when we originally reviewed it.
God damn.
Yeah. Yep. So those are our 5 Hall of Fame inductees, which, by the way, is a record for 22 shots. We've never had 5 inductees on one show. So that just speaks to the volumes of how strong 1982 actually was. We had 4 on...
We knew that going into it, though, that it was going to be a solid year.
I'm a little bit shocked that Friday the 13th didn't make it.
I'm sad about that. Actually,
I mean, just a tad bit shocked because I know how much you and Dave love the movie, and Brandon's kind of a wild card, same with Christian. But
you know what? Almost kind of what I thought was might have made it surprisingly was Halloween 3 because it did get a really high rating from Brandon, which is a 9.5, So like that kind of, I was like, and Dave gave it a 9. So if I think one other person gave it a 9.5, it would have made it in.
And what place did they have it in the top 10? I don't remember. Because it's interesting, because I have it rated as an 8 out of 10, and I have it at number 5.
Brandon has it at number 2.
Holy fuck.
And Dave had it at number 4.
Yeah, I knew they were pretty high.
That's crazy. Huh.
And you had it at number 5, and Christian had it at number 6. And me, I don't know. Jeremy, did you have it?
No.
Me neither.
Huh. Wow. That was a fun show. That was good stuff.
That was a fun show, man. I'm looking forward to 72. I'm not sure if we'll be able to get everybody back together. That's like such a rare thing to be able to actually happen. But we'll at least probably have 1 or 2 guests on that show, from Exploding Heads and somewhere else, maybe 2 Exploding Heads. We don't know. But it's such a far way down the road. I'm not even prepping right now. I accidentally watched a film from 1972.
Nice.
So, Man from Deep River, which is Italian.
It is. Also known
Pretty
as...
good. Pretty good movie. I'm not going to lie. It's a pretty good movie.
It is a good movie.
Surprised me. It surprised me, especially considering I've seen some of Umberto Lenzi's other films. This one, like, a lot, like, very professional for 72. Man from Deep River is like pretty well constructed,
and that's considered to be like the very first cannibal film. And that's according to Ruggero Deodato. He's like, no, Lenzi made the first one, even though a lot of people don't consider it because there's not that much cannibalism in it. A little bit of
there's cannibalism,
but there is.
Counts.
Yeah. So, and then like Deodato, even because a lot of people credit Deodato with making the first ones, right? And it's not. It's Lenzi.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Pretty cool.
That's good.
I recommend Man from Deep River from 72.
Yeah, it's good shit. Also known as Sacrifice and a million other titles.
Which is not. I like Man from. I said that in my review. I like Man from Deep River better.
It is a better title.
Hey, fellas.
What?
How about them Bears? Oh, 5-3.
That wasn't really overly. That wasn't really overly surprising.
That's good, man. I'm happy for you.
Keel
what about those Bills?
Keel actually messaged me today, and he's like, "Oh,
mess.
what the fuck did he say, man?" He's like, "Man, my Bears beat the poo poo out of you," or something like that. I was like, "Dude, I picked the Bears. I'm glad they won."
Pittsburgh's looking better
dude,
every
the
week,
Bills
man.
are a fucking mess.
Oh,
they're just
they're the worst
mess.
team in football.
They need to have a complete makeover, like staff.
Didn't they just try this? They got rid of everybody.
Yeah, well, they need to do it again. Shit ain't working.
They need to start firing people, man.
I know, this is bad, man. It's fucking bad.
Like, the Browns have a bigger upside right now than the Bills do, for sure. And that's bad. Anytime you're below the Browns, you're like, man, we're really in a...
Yeah, the Browns are the worst franchise in sports history.
Yeah.
You can't be below the Browns. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so let's move this along.
All right.
Let's get into some news.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Some news. Okay, first little bit of news. I just wanted to talk about this because I thought it was great. Thought it was some good news. We got a teaser poster for Leprechaun Returns. And I thought that was awesome.
And you're a fucking asshole. You did not announce that it was supposed to come out this year when we talked about it on the show.
No, but Sci-Fi did.
No, I don't remember them talking about it.
When that trailer came out, they said coming to Sci-Fi Channel next year or something.
Oh, great. A Leprechaun sci-fi film. Yummy.
No, but it will be arriving on digital and on demand December.
Yeah, this is actually earlier than expected.
So I don't think it's actually playing on the Sci-Fi Channel.
It will in March. That's when they said it would.
Are you kidding me? We have to do another franchise roundup show. Now 2 of the films are going to be Leprechaun films.
Yes. I'm excited. I don't know, man. I don't even know how to, like, should we just do, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Should we just do Leprechaun 1 and 2, like, or the Genesis or could we do a Leprechaun themed show and do Red Clover with it?
Yeah, we'll do that in March.
Yeah.
There's 3 more Hall of Famers.
You really don't. Actually, Red Clover is not that bad. It's probably better than those Leprechaun films. They don't make a lot of damn St. Patty's Day themed films.
Yeah.
It's kind of a shame.
Yeah. I didn't mind Origins. It's not a Leprechaun movie, but it's not a bad little creature feature. It's just annoying that they called it Leprechaun.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
As for Red Clover, it was okay.
Maybe in 20 years or 30 years, it'll be the Halloween 3 effect. Everyone's going to be like, dude, it's fucking so good. If you just forget Leprechaun, you know. It's a good creature feature.
So this Leprechaun, this new one, Leprechaun Returns.
Really original title.
Yeah. Is actually a sequel to
Origins
the original.
and Returns. These are so original. Oh, wait a minute. What?
Yeah, it's a sequel to the original 1993 Leprechaun.
Whoa.
Did you see the poster?
No, I didn't.
It's the Leprechaun all gross looking climbing out of the well.
So it's a sequel to part 3, did you say?
No, to part 1.
Oh,
The
to
original.
part 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Why the hell would it be part 3? That's just retarded.
Well, the Leprechaun franchise is all over the place in
Well,
time.
that's what I'm
guess
saying.
what?
This is
I have a
the
brilliant
only
idea,
direct
guys.
sequel
I
in the
wanna do
entire
a new-
series.
I want to do a new Leprechaun film, but guess what?
No.
It's going to be a sequel to part 3.
Well, it's because they're trying to, separate, that
And
stupid
it's
ass
directed
Leprechaun
by
in
the
space.
Abstract 6 guy, so it could be okay.
Oh, really? Oh man, this is
Yeah,
okay.
Stephen Kosnowski's
I'm on board.
directing it.
So this is the hip thing to do right now. Make a sequel to the original film like so many years later, Halloween.
Yeah.
So, wow. Okay.
So my question is this: like, at first everybody was like, "This is a made-for-Sci-Fi Channel film," but it might not be because it's being put out by Lionsgate on digital.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but
Maybe
that's pretty
Sci-Fi
crazy
just
that
got the airing
Void-
rights for it or something.
Yeah, maybe the Void's Steven Kostansky. That's pretty cool, though. That's a good director attached to a Leprechaun film. This could be the greatest Leprechaun film
It could
ever.
be like
I'm
guess what,
excited
guys?
because
It could be
budget.
like the new Puppet Master.
Yeah, it could be.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know,
Listen.
man. I mean, well, look at the last shit, man. Like with the Void and stuff. You get a little bit of a budget and turned out pretty fucking good.
I love Leprechaun. So here's the plot. The deadly wisecracking Leprechaun is back in all his gory glory. When the sorority sisters of Alpha Upsilon decide to go green and use the old well as their water source, they unwittingly awaken a pint-sized green-clad monster. The Leprechaun wants a pot of gold buried near
Why
the
the
sorority
fuck
house.
is a sorority using a
But
fucking well?
first,
How the hell do they not
must-
have running water?
Well, he just told you that they wanted to go green.
That's retarded.
Must recover his powers with a killing spree, and only the girls at the AU can stop him.
Who the fuck
This
is gonna
sounds
pump their water?
ridiculous.
You wake up in your sorority all fucking hungover, and you got to go pump your water. Fuck that
No,
shit, man.
this is even what's more stupid. Kind of is that we know that the original Leprechaun farmhouse was in like it was kind of secluded. Who the hell builds a sorority house where that was?
Yeah, well, because they're generally close to the actual school they're going to.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
It would make more sense if a group of sorority girls went out to an old farmhouse for the weekend.
No, but that
Right?
that's too generic.
I don't know if that's more generic or less. I think it's less generic.
I don't know.
It might be more generic, but definitely less convoluted.
Well, guess what? It's only 4 weeks away, so I guess we'll find out.
Is it seriously? I'm actually gonna buy it. I'm gonna rent this.
Yeah, it's 4 weeks away from.
This could
Today.
make this
No,
could
next
really
week.
listen.
5 weeks
This
away.
comes out December 11th. We're recording the end of the year show. This is a must watch.
What?
This is a must watch because the end of the year show is like 2 weeks after that, 3 weeks after that.
So
It's 5 weeks from Tuesday.
I'm
they-
gonna have to watch this.
I'm a little bit worried that they're not thinking this shit through, man. I mean, why release it in
This could
December
impact lit.
for the end of the year? I understand, they're like, oh yeah, all the people, they got to watch every goddamn movie, to make their top 10 lists or whatever.
I doubt they're thinking about that.
I know, I was just totally fucking around. But anyways, but like, why not wait a couple months, hence
It is
3
such
months,
a weird time
and release
to
it in March, for the actual special occasion of St. Paddy's Day. I mean, it's kind of related,
because
right?
here's why. It's because they're going to release it on demand on December 11th, and then they'll drop a DVD or Blu-ray in March.
But still, I mean, it's out there. It's like Christmas time, and you got leprechauns running around and shit. Like,
I don't get that either. It's weird.
It's better than the Elf sequel. I'd rather have leprechauns than elves.
Dude, I puked in my mouth a little bit when I saw that.
The real question here is, how many Leprechaun movies are going to make my top 50 of all time?
1, Leprechaun 3.
I don't know.
God damn, I don't know.
But no, seriously, Leprechaun Returns. I just like the series, honestly. The Leprechaun doesn't look half bad. There's a picture of him up there. So we'll see what it's like. The plot sounds like they're going for 100% cheesy and ridiculous versus, the mixture of tones which you get in the first 3, which I think are horror films, but they have comedy to them. This one sounds like pure comedy.
It does. Going green in a sorority house? Nobody in today's world is ever going to agree to that shit.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen, dude.
Mm.
Sororities don't give a fuck about being green. They give a fuck about getting fucked up. Not having to pump.
Fucked.
And not have, and fucked. And not having to pump their water when they're hungover. Fuck that shit, man. No way.
Can you imagine if they had to pump their water in Sorority House Massacre and when they fucking killed their... Whatever. I'm going to say something stupid.
Whatever. Isn't that your role?
The whatever is the punchline?
Oh, man. That was a perfect opportunity. Like, retard alert right there. But, yeah. New Leprechaun. Okay, in December. That's fucking bizarre.
Yeah. I just feel like people are going to need to see it because it might impact lists.
Maybe there's a twist on it and it's taking place during the holiday season.
That would be cool.
Leprechaun during the
Leprechaun
Christmas season?
Takes Christmas? Yeah.
Maybe he fucks an elf and there's a leprechaun elf.
Well, it kind of got me thinking a little bit because I reviewed that movie 1031 for the last day of 31 Days of Horror, and there was a segment in there that actually mashed up Christmas and Halloween together, and it just instantly blew my fucking mind, and I was like, I can't believe that no one has ever thought of this or done this before. What? With what?
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
He got you.
I guess. But I'm talking about an actual, like, not animated fucking whatever. But anyway, but it was a cool, but the idea in this short was actually completely linked, right? Like, it's actually kind of cool. And I thought that was pretty interesting, but yeah.
All right. Moving on. We have a little bit of an update. Apparently, Fede Alvarez has a script for the Don't Breathe sequel, which I just thought was dumb. Like, it just does not feel like a movie that needs a sequel to me. Which you could say about most movies, but this one just really feels like it to me. I love Don't Breathe. It made my top 10 of 2016 or 15 or whatever year it came out. But I would much rather see an Evil Dead remake sequel than a Don't Breathe sequel, which is 2 movies that he talked about. So he was out promoting. What's that?
He doesn't have a script for Evil Dead 2.
But the Evil Dead 2 sequel makes sense. Don't Breathe doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
The only reason Don't Breathe makes sense is because it actually did well at the box office.
Yeah, I get that, but what are you going to do with it?
I don't know. He says he has a brilliant idea for a Don't Breathe 2. I remember he said that a while back. But
all you're going to do is get The Strangers 2.
Strangers 2 wasn't too bad.
There was one good scene.
You can watch. No, dude, Strangers 2 was good. It was not great, but it was solid.
It was okay.
The worst part about Strangers 2 is you look at it and you're like, this could have been so much better, dude, if you just zigged when you zagged. Am I right?
Okay. Mm-hmm. He said zigged when you zagged. Oh, wow. That's interesting.
You don't think that it could have been better? Like, you don't think it had bad potential there?
It definitely did, man. I actually personally liked the setting that they used. I loved
the setting.
That was kind of cool. That was kind
The
of cool.
visuals were great. Like there was some missteps there in terms of story. Like that pool scene could have been scene of the year had it not ended the way it did.
Yeah, the end of that scene is ridiculous.
The scene after is better. I'm sorry.
Even the end of the movie was kind of ridiculous
the on fire truck coming down the bridge is fucking awesome.
It did have a very visual like sense to it. Like I liked that about the movie. It had,
and you could see the bag. You could see the bag man in the car, and the fucking car's on fire, and he's driving it down the fucking bridge. That scene's badass.
All right, guys, I get the point. I think Don't Breathe is going to be okay then. The sequel.
All right, so
I'll knock it till you watch it. Yes.
Well, I don't know. It just seems like I don't know.
You'll watch it.
What? For sure.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely watch it. Yeah, he says, okay, so he was out promoting The Girl in the Spiderweb, which is his new film, and he said that basically he wants to do both of those films eventually, and he says it doesn't mean that we won't make them, and that I make them might not. Wait, and that I make them might not be that I'm directing. That was a weird way to say that.
Wow, that was really wordy.
But I might be producing. They're just ideas right now, nothing to announce officially. We do have a script for Don't Breathe 2. That's the only difference. We don't have a script for Evil Dead 2, but we do have a script for Don't Breathe 2 that we wrote. So once I'm done with The Girl in the Spiderweb, we're going to start thinking of ways to bring that story to the screen, me directing or me producing. It really depends on the time that we'll have. I'm particularly excited about that because it's really different sequel when it comes to sequels. It's very different approach, and I'm excited about that. I mean, that sounds good, right? Like, it's very different. So we're like, how can you make a Don't Breathe sequel? Well, you just don't make Don't Breathe. You just make something else. You know what I mean?
Where the fuck is The Collector 3, goddammit, if they're fucking going to make... I don't know. I'm thinking about sequels now.
I still haven't seen the Collector 2.
Yeah.
Where's that? I thought Laid to Rest 3 was in the works. For real.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. This Collector film's pretty good, though.
Yeah, they're good. I like them. And they were theatrical.
Fuck yeah.
All right. So this next bit of news is a little bit of hometown news here. I want to throw this in there. It was on Bloody Disgusting. Basically, Bloody Disgusting says, we recently teamed up with the George A. Romero filmmaking program and Tom Savini's special makeup effects program, both offered by Pennsylvania's Douglas Education Center, to bring the new horror web series titled Flicker. The series features episodes directed by Robert Tennell, Tina Romero, that's George's daughter, and Tom Savini. We're extremely proud to be part of this series, which you can now watch on bloodydisgusting.com, or I think it might be on their like Twitter and Facebook.
Well, maybe we'll have more success than the retro screening series.
Yeah. So Flicker was developed as a student production from George Romero's film school and Tom Savini's special effects makeup program at the Douglas Education Center, a career school near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The students worked under the guidance of the industry's pros, including the series directors Tom Savini, Tina Romero, and Robert Tennell. The episodes are designed as small, bite-sized chunks of horror, wherein we follow the exploits of the Flicker. Really.
That wasn't a sound effect.
I just want to interrupt and say, happy birthday to Tom Savini. He's 72 and he looks great.
Yeah, he does actually. That's crazy.
That body is amazing. It's
besides his hard nipples.
That guy's in great shape, man. I just couldn't believe those pictures. It's insane.
That fucking fart. Okay.
Sorry,
JP.
ahead. I know he's not amused, but
no. I'm not.
Here's my fucking chair. I need to WD-40 this thing.
That was not your chair.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Anyway, so basically it's a pretty cool little short series that was made around here with my coworker. She helped on it, which is pretty cool. Did some makeup effects and stuff like that. They had a big premiere that I couldn't go to because I was actually working for her, so she could go. But they had one of the professional wrestlers from that she made like the mask for there from WWE, Tom Savini, a bunch of people. There was some other people. I think Doug Bradley was there. But
you met Doug Bradley. Too bad you didn't know who the hell he was.
I know, right? But I just thought that was cool. This is all happening right down the road from me, and it's cool that this filmmaking school seems to be getting bigger and better every year, as well as the special effects side of things. A lot of talented people come into this area to go to school and eventually leave this area and actually are becoming successful people. So it's cool. And you guys can check it out. It's pretty cool short series, honestly. Like I watched them. They're really neat. They look super retro. Like obviously the idea behind it is that they're old, like super old. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So that's that.
Good shit.
After that, apparently there's an officially licensed, long unproduced sequel to Night of the Living Dead coming from the original team.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's it's like I don't even really know what that.
What does that mean? The original team?
I guess Russo, right?
I mean I guess from the last people alive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever. Never will happen.
I mean, I wouldn't say that, but whether
pretty high chance.
Yeah. So it says. I mean, just
I would assume it is Russo involved. I don't. That's fucking random.
Living Dead Media told us this week. This is from Bloody Discussing. Night of the Living Dead first brought zombies to the silver screen in 1968. The world was unprepared for the film's flesh-starved ghouls, which resulted in a groundbreaking and commercial success. It remains one of the most influential and revered horror films of all time, and now sits in the Library of Congress in the Museum of Modern Art for its cultural significance. Written by John A. Russo and directed by George A. Romero, Night of the Living Dead created the foundation for the 5 Return of the Living Dead films that gave us Tarman. What the fuck does that have to do with
Tarman?
His famous catchphrase, "More brains," popularizing brain-eating zombies. Wait, did we just get into a plug for
Return of the Living Dead? What the fuck?
I mean, it's kind of true, but.
Defining the modern dark comedy horror genre in the process. Romero's trilogy of Dead series also owes its roots to the classic. In addition, interesting how they only brought up the 3. Romero's trilogy of Dead series also owes its roots to the classic. In addition, Night of the Living Dead is not only credited with spawning generation of zombie films, but all modern horror films. The history of Night of the Living Dead's place on the Mount Rushmore of horror films, known by most horror film fans and people all over the world, but unknown to the most is that the 1970s original writers and producers of Night of the Living Dead penned a sequel to their masterpiece. A lot of people don't know this. A sequel that inexplicably has gone unproduced for over 40 years until now. Living Dead Media has brushed away the dirt from this amazing follow-up to the classic and brought together a great team to produce the new film. The plan is to release Night of the Living Dead Part 2 in 2019.
Says it's in pre-production.
The only way I would like to see that is if it's a period piece that's set in 1968 and it's like the next scene.
The next day.
You know what I mean? Like the next scene. Like literally.
Yeah.
Like a straight sequel like that.
Yeah.
Black and white. Let's do the whole thing.
That would be cool, actually.
Yeah. That would be cool.
You get a couple Russo films next year. Night of the Living Dead Part 2 and then the Midnight Remake.
Mm-hmm.
Which he is actually directing himself. It's crazy.
So, next little bit of news. I want to throw this out there just because it's cool. So, there is a Blu-ray of How the Grinch Stole Christmas that just came out, the Ultimate Edition. Very similar to the George Romero Ultimate Edition of Dawn of the Dead. It has everything. And it basically, one of the cool things that it has is it actually has the more unknown short Halloween is Grinch Night. and it's actually remastered for Blu-ray as well.
Wow!
So I thought that was pretty cool because
Halloween and Christmas mashup. What the fuck?
Yeah, I think that it was only available on VHS until now.
Huh, I don't think I've ever seen that.
But it's just a bonus feature. Like you don't need it. There's nowhere on the package do you see like on the front of it like advertised. But I actually picked up a copy of this because I remember seeing it as a kid and I've always wanted to revisit it. So I bought the Grinch on Blu-ray specifically for the Grinch. The Halloween is Grinch night. So that's pretty cool. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
It's a steelbook, right? Or is it just...
There's actually a couple versions. I have the one with the little Funko Pop in it.
Yeah.
Which was actually cheaper than the regular version, which was weird. The Funko Pop version at my Walmart was like $12, and the regular standard Blu-ray was $13 or $14, or it was $15 actually. So
if you want to see the new one, I think it looks okay.
I'm gonna go see it. I like the Grinch.
I love that studio. Illumination does some good stuff.
Yeah, I mean the original short is a classic that I watch all the time. So
yeah,
every Christmas. But after that, this is like the last little bit of news here. There was actually this other thing. Director Mary Lambert, original Pet Sematary director, is going to be directing a film called Darlene. Just throwing that out there. So yeah, everybody says there's not enough women directors and stuff. Mary Lambert's making a new movie. Gotcha covered. And then this final little bit of news, I thought I'd throw this out here just because it's really bizarre. The Satanic Temple is taking legal action against Netflix over the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina statue. So, this is funny. So
okay.
So basically, the Satanic Temple and the Church of Satan are taking legal action against Sabrina, this new show that's on Netflix. They say, yes, we're taking legal action regarding the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, appropriating our copyrighted monument designed to promote their asinine satanic panic fiction. I'm amazed that anybody is confused as to why we would seek legal remedy over Sabrina using our monument. Would they be as understanding of a fictional show that used a real mosaic as the headquarters for a terroristic cell? A fiction blood libel tale implicating real-world Jews? ? Then the guy Graves tweeted, I want them to take it out. It looks like CGI to begin with. I don't know how much work it takes, but I simply refuse to have.
Oh my god! I'm looking at their website, and there's a section called After School Satan, and they're trying to sell a book called The Satanic Children's Big Book of Activities, and you could buy it at shopsatan.com, and it's only $5. And on that website, you could also buy your membership card, which is $25 and looks very much like a KKK card. And
dude,
you buy a mug.
Can we join this? Can 22 Shots join? Can we get a card?
Yeah, it's $25.
Okay, maybe we should.
And we could join them at the Satanic Temple in Salem, and it's open only to members. So we could go to Salem and go to a Satanic.
I'm on board.
Yeah.
Do it.
Me too. So I have actually looked at the picture here, and yes, it is like the exact same monument. Like they copy it pretty directly. So if that is in fact copyrighted, I guess Netflix is.
Well, I don't think they would be putting legal action forward if it wasn't copyrighted. That'd be silly.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. By the way, the temple's only open September 22nd through October 26th. So.
Just missed it.
Just missed it.
But anyway, I actually watched The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is a reboot of sorts to Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And I gotta say, very solid show. I'm only 2 episodes in. It is, I seen an article, it's like, this is not your mama's Sabrina. And they're right. It's like full of legit, like satanic, like awesome stuff in it. You know, it's pretty fucking cool. Like it's dark.
Comic. It's more
dark, up. Man. Wait, the comic?
Yeah, it's based off a comic.
And you read the comic.
I read the comic. I read the Archie comic too, where there's an Archie comic where
I didn't even know you read comics.
Archie and Jughead turn into zombies. It's really good. I forgot what the name of it is. I have it in my closet, but
yep. Anyway, yeah, this show is pretty solid. It's a net.
Sorry, man.
It's a Netflix. That was actually a really good joke.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
But it's a Netflix show. It's good. Watch it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I'm also hearing The Haunting of Hill House is really good, but I just don't have the time to get into shows right now. But I did watch the first 2 episodes of Sabrina, and I really liked it.
I know it already got renewed.
Yeah, it's dark. It's a cool show.
What about Heather Langenkamp says she'd love to play Nancy Thompson one more time?
I mean, yeah, that's. I
mean,
I didn't really think it was news, but yeah, I think it would be a good idea. Honestly, like you think about it, and you're like, well, the reason Jamie Lee came back is because she's like an actual like good solidified actress. But if you think about it, Heather Langenkamp has been in 3 Elm Streets and 1 late into the series. So she can lead that film.
I got no problems with that, man. I think that would be awesome.
Who Nancy is besides us. It's not like Laurie Strode.
Well, everybody knows Nancy though. Like a lot of like not it's not as big as Laurie Strode, but that's because you're talking about literally the biggest. Maybe Sidney Prescott, but Laurie Strode is the biggest protagonist in horror.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just went, who
female.
the fuck is Sidney? Sidney?
No. People know Sidney Prescott.
Nobody knows who Sidney is.
Scream, bro. Even I know that.
Scott.
Nobody even knows the movie Scream. Fuck that movie.
No, dude, God damn it! I watched it again the other day, and it is still a perfect movie to me.
You guys should watch History of Horror. Eli Roth.
I am watching it.
It's fucking awesome.
It's awesome.
I don't think I have the channel, man. To be honest,
AMC.
No, I mean I don't think I actually have the channel.
What channel does The Walking Dead come on?
No. We have AMC, but I'm wondering.
Oh, okay. You mean you don't have it in your cable package?
Yeah. I just fucking because I have like
that's
cheap ass.
Nobody really has cable packages anymore.
That's the thing. I have like the cheapest cable because I don't watch TV. So, but I'm pretty sure we got AMC though.
Yeah,
pretty good.
It is good though. It is good though.
I like it. I think people are hating a little bit too much. It's not made for fucking the hardcorest of hardcore fans. Yeah. You know what I mean? People were like, they didn't even mention Bay of Blood or something. And yeah, they actually do. But I'm saying like they don't. Like people are acting like it's supposed to be this thing that is gonna teach hardcore fans about horror. No, dude, it's a nice little gateway for people who are fucking watching that shit, you know, on like AMC.
The Walking Dead.
Yeah, like it's not gonna be the most in-depth like underground shit that they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they're talking about the classics and some lesser known. They actually do talk a lot about stuff that's a little lesser known. I noticed, but I like it. I think it's good. I'm enjoying it. So that's the news.
All right. Cool. No releases, nothing?
It's your job.
Yeah, well...
No, he usually has some
Grinch,
at the end.
The Grinch got announced. I have a hard time keeping up with those week to week. Unless we're doing a weekly show, it's hard for me to remember when stuff was announced. So, yeah, no.
I agree. No, I'm not doing the fucking release that we went through this shit, man. There's no good sources anymore, and it's bullshit, and they're always fucking wrong.
So why the fuck do you ask JP to make him look like the asshole then?
No, he always does like 1 or 2 releases at the end, like big ones.
Yeah, it was only the Grinch.
Cool.
That I had. That's out now, though.
Cool. All right. That's the news.
Fucking thing sucks!
Moving along. Let's get into some box office brawl.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Ding, ding.
Bing, 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 and bing, and bing, bong. All right.
Wait,
this week.
Before we get into it, have we decided? Or is it ending at the end of the year and then we start fresh with another one? Or are we playing this one out? Like, how are we doing this?
Playing it out.
Okay.
I think we should do it start it fresh at the end of the year.
I think we should too, because
doesn't matter
well,
anyway,
it kind of makes sense to start it over because then it would be the box office brawl for the 2019 year.
Yeah, because we always talk about like money and like how much stuff makes in the year.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Makes sense.
And also, I mean, it's a runaway win for me against you, but this could decide me and Moods right here. We're tied at. We never recapped Halloween actually, so I'm up by one right now. I think. Anyway, so Halloween, what did it make?
Yeah, that was stupid.
Curveball, give me 1 second. Halloween opening weekend. Halloween made $76,221,545.
Wow.
76 million.
Yeah. So we were talking about. I don't know if it's gonna make that much, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna say that it's gonna make a little bit more. So I put 100,000 or 1 million ahead of Jeremy. I guess 61, he guessed 60, but I wasn't even my head wasn't even in that area until he said 60. So that even shows how much more it made than I even expected. I was thinking truly the game is one thing, but truly what I think, I was thinking it was going to make like 45, 50 million or something.
Yeah, well, that's where I was at. I think I had 49.
Yeah.
So this 76 bullshit, that's insane to me.
Yeah, so that leaves me 12-20 against Jeremy, and he's talking about extending. He's just talking about keeping the game going. So, and then Moods versus Jeremy. This is interesting because this ties it up. This ties it up for Moods and Jeremy.
Yeah, he's beat me in like the last few weeks. So
yeah, so Moods and Jeremy are tied at 14 apiece, and then me and Moods, I pulled ahead.
Hey Moods, do you want to put on the line your Fangoria against my Cannibal DVD?
Oh, fuck this, man! I'm losing every fucking week here. It's a bad time to make that bet. Shit.
So. Okay, so this is big stuff here. So if this is our last one, I beat Jeremy. He's gonna owe me a Blu-ray. But me and Moods are tied. I might owe Moods a Blu-ray. He might owe me a Blu-ray. And then Moods and Jeremy Jeremy and Moods are tied 14-14. So it could go either way. And then I'm one ahead of Moods, so he could tie it and force it into and it'll just be a tie for the year. We won't owe each other anything.
No, there's one more at the end.
Is there?
Yes, we had that Possession movie.
Okay,
Possession of Hannah Grace.
And that's a wide release.
Wide release from Sony and Screen Gems on November 30th.
So then there's two left, guys. Two left.
I already know that shit's gonna bomb just by the title. This is too close. This is definitely close. So I got to put in a good bit on this. So what do we got up for this week?
We got Overlord, the Bad Robot, J.J. Abrams, World War II horror monster mashup, whatever the fuck it is. It looks pretty good.
It does look good.
It's gotten great reviews.
It's getting good reviews. It's 100% fresh. Or not 100%, but, you know.
It's like 90%.
Yeah, certified fresh.
But how is it going to do at the box office?
17 million.
Wow.
How many theaters is it in?
That was like way over what I was predicting.
2,500.
It's in 2,500.
It's a pretty good guess.
2,500. 17. Wow, that's like really high. I was not even in that ballpark, man. That's...
I'm going to say 16 million.
Oh, man. Okay, well... I'm going to come in about 11.
All right.
It's a zombie
And the
film.
only reason I'm lower is because if it was in more theaters, I think it would do good. But 2,500, it just...
That's right now, though. It could go up.
It could. You said 11 Moods?
Yes.
All right, so this is a big game for Moods here.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to do... I don't know. This is a toss-up one, too, man. Zombie film... I don't know. I don't know how people are feeling about zombie films at the moment.
Not good, I don't think.
I don't think so either. And I'm really surprised that Possession film's getting a wide release. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is weird. Never even heard of it. Right. So as of right now, we at least have one more after this. But sometimes there's stuff that we don't notice too. So we'll see. But it is just till the end of the year. Then we'll start it fresh.
Yeah, we'll do like the 2019 edition of Box Office Brawl, and then we'll. Is it going to be like the whole year thing, or are we going to cap it out at 22?
Let's do it the whole year.
See what the score is? Okay. That's not a bad idea. Cool. That's it for Box Office Brawl?
Yeah, buddy.
Alrighty. Yeah.
22 shots.
All right, so moving along, JP, do you have a They Said What for us this week?
I do have a They Said What, and I have two of them, actually. So,
goddamn.
First up, this film came out in a year, and it was reviewed. So, this is the review, by the way. This film is billed as a thriller, and it's a pretty good one, but its scares are on a much more basic level than in, say, a thriller by Hitchcock.
Donnelly.
No, you're supposed to guess the title.
Yeah, I was like, what?
And then the review. Mostly by exploiting our fear of the dark. We keep following the hero into dark rooms, dark alleyways, dark parks, dark corridors, and dark basements, and that makes us very uneasy. I looked around the theater and found people unconsciously leaning forward in their seats as sort of squinting as if they could vicariously spot any danger to the hero. That's what thrillers are all about. Of course,
it comes at night.
No.
Fuck.
You blew it.
I always fucking blow it at these.
Yeah, every so often someone gets killed, but actual violence is never what a thriller is really about. Thrillers employ anticipation, fear, and feeling of importance. They work best when we're afraid the hero or his girlfriend and can't help. We're afraid for his hero or girlfriend and can't help them. They can't help themselves. One of the most effective scenes in this film, for example, and this might probably give it away, comes when the hero's girl is alone in their apartment and the killer starts hacking away at the door. Lights are out. The lights are out, and the phone is dead. The girl collapses into hysteria and crawls around on the floor, and we desperately want her to pull herself together and do something, but she doesn't, and the killer keeps hacking away. Okay, so nobody can guess this from this, I guess. I thought it would be a little bit easier, but okay, let me tell you what the film's about then. This film is about an American who stumbles into police in search for a maniac murderer. Like a typical Hitchcock innocent bystander, he is first suspected of being guilty and then enmeshed in a deadly relationship with the killer. The killer wears black gloves and a black cape and a black slouch hat and looks like the Shadow, and leads the hero into an investigation that turns up all sorts of interesting characters, including an artist who eats cats, a pimp who has to add so long to the end of every sentence to keep from stuttering, and an association with the retired pugilist. How does nobody know this?
I don't know.
literally gave away the whole fucking
film?
movie.
I have no idea what it is.
Film?
Like, I only plan on reading like one
It
paragraph.
sounds like
I read
so many
5
movies.
paragraphs. It's a 3-star review out of 4.
Keep going.
That's it. That's the whole review.
I don't know. I guess it's a trial then. Nobody knows.
I don't fucking know what it
Okay,
is.
it's the bird with the crystal plumage. I thought the cat eating thing would have gave it away, but
Dude, the whole
It's
time.
like every Giallo.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, it has to be a Giallo. I'm like, what the fuck is it, though? I'm like, I don't know.
I figured the cat eating thing would have gave it away, though.
Now that you really ring it in my ears, for sure.
Yeah, The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, 3 stars by Roger Ebert. He gave Argento's film a 3-star review.
This segment is all about embarrassing our asses, man. Because I'm trying to think. I'm like,
That's the first one I've missed.
Yeah.
I'm like, what Giallo is this? But I don't know. It just nothing was sticking out to me. I don't know. It's fucking weird.
I like how he like disses it for having like gore and violence in it. He's like, Hitchcock would never do that.
But he did do that.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Yeah,
That's
birds,
bizarre.
right?
And Psycho.
So yeah, the other one. Okay, let's get to the other one. All right. I'll make this one a little bit easier. After a disastrous night out, a young couple returning home to finish the night find themselves being haunted by a trio of strangers.
Strangers.
The Strangers?
It is the Strangers.
Oh, what the fuck?
It's a trio of strange intruders is what I was trying to say.
Donna Nelly.
It is Donna Nelly.
I remember reading that. That's some bullshit. It pissed me off.
He gave it a 1 star.
That's not even fair. You read this before? I didn't even get a chance. Fuck.
For the most part, this was a pretty bland and wholly disappointing effort.
You want to know why? You know, I didn't know why it was coming because JP said, I'm going to talk about this on who said what in the comment section. That's why I keep on saying Donna Nelly.
Cheated. So just the first little excerpt from this. For the most part, this is a pretty bland and wholly disappointing effort. The main obstacle that hinders this one is the same feature that usually affects most in the genre. So much character stupidity to further the plotline of the film. Well, Don, you probably shouldn't watch Giallos then.
How the fuck does give Jersey Shore Shark Attack a 9.5 but gives the Strangers a 1?
This is one...
Apparently those characters are smart in those movies.
Yeah, this one is predicated on everyone running into danger simply to get themselves into more danger, not just from failing to recognize anything is going on until it's too late, but also by blatantly ignoring directions given to them by just moments before, running out to investigate any possible noise around them, which provides the perfect launching point for them to get ambushed, and to do it all without any kind of weapon, open hand, despite several opportunities to have a weapon or self-defense of some sort of them to do so. That felt like a long sentence. But anyway, yeah, he says this one's basically not very good.
Wow.
He gave it a 1 star out of 5 for The Strangers. Jeremy, that's one of your favorite horror films ever.
So that translates to a 2 out of 10? That's, wow.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I just don't give a shit whatever Donatelli says, clearly, because he's been on our show and he's given The Massacre a 9 out of 10. That movie's fucking awful. And then he gives this one a 2 out of 10. That guy could suck my balls.
That's so funny.
I have nothing to say to his foolish ass.
Where's my phone?
Wow.
Fucking retard.
Okay, so that was They Said What? Stop cheating, Jeremy.
Not my fault you said you were going to say it.
Well, that was a little bit easier. But
well, I messed up by announcing what the film was by accident. He put strange in the goddamn opening of his review, and it tricked me.
All right, so that's They Say What. Moving along. We got a voicemail this week?
You've got mail.
Dude, we totally do have a voicemail.
Nice.
Isn't that crazy?
Doesn't anybody listen to my outro?
No. They don't. All right, here's our one and only voicemail. Ready?
Yep.
No.
Ready?
No.
Hey guys, it's Lawrence. It's been a while, and I have a question for you.
Yes.
This is maybe an experience that you guys have had, but when I was younger, like somewhere around 12, I was looking through channels on
JP, stop it.
And
I'm just eating.
I happened upon the ending of 2 movies a few days apart. And it was only later that I found them, and they were Ticks and Movies 2. Now, the first few scenes that I had for when I got involved in horror were probably those 2 movies because these movies were unlike anything I'd ever seen before. My parents didn't really let me watch horror, so it was something I was really intrigued by. And even though the movies may be bad, I still find I love them simply because of that nostalgia factor. Have you ever had any movies where you've seen only a piece of it and you've had to hunt down those things just to see them for their entirety? And were they good because it was nostalgic or because the movies themselves were good? Anyway, keep up the great work, guys, and Have a happy Halloween.
That was actually a good question. Have you ever seen a movie on TV, saw a piece of it, not known what it is, and then have to track it down later?
No.
Jesus.
I'm being honest.
What did you do as a child?
Well, we clearly know what I did as a child. What I do now.
What?
Nothing.
Modes, have you?
I'm trying to think, Ben. So specific.
See? Fuck you. He doesn't know either.
Well, I'm just thinking
well,
specifically
that's 'cause you just
off
gotta ask the
TV.
question.
Specifically off TV.
I mean, I you sit there and think for a second. I have so many that this has happened to me for. Because when I was growing up, there was no guide. You couldn't just see what was on, what the title was. You had to just either wait till the end, and sometimes they said it, or you had to go to like channel 5 and watch this scrolly thing go across the screen.
I remember those
until it came up, but then you were missing the film. So
and pay-per-view always went on those channels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that one of the ones that I could think of off the bat is a movie. Actually, this was probably one of the last times it ever happened to me. It was a movie called Dead End, and this is a film with Lin Shaye set on Christmas. It's one of my favorite.
3.
Yeah, one of my favorite horror films right now. But back in like 2003, when it came on Showtime, I didn't really know. For whatever reason, there was no guide or something, and I just happened upon it. And I was watching it, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I couldn't find out what it was until doing some Google searching. Another film was a film that I watched as a kid on Joe Bob Briggs's Monster Vision, which this happened a lot on Monster Vision because I wouldn't remember what the title was. It was The Hand, which actually, coincidentally, is the first episode that Joe Bob hosted, I think. And I think Oliver Stone's The Hand. Is it Oliver Stone film? I don't even know. Do you know?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Hand, which is fucking so stupid of me because it's like the movie's about a killer hand. What do you think it's called? You know what I mean? Well, what could it be? Like The Fingers of Violence or something? You know, like what is the title of this movie going to be? Clearly it's The Fucking Hand. But I found that I remember seeing that as a kid, being real like freaked out by it because it's like fucking killer hand, and later finding that another one was Phantasm, like which makes sense. Like how the hell would I ever know what that was called? I remember seeing Phantasm as a kid, not knowing what it was, eventually finding it out. Ice Cream Man, that was a big one. I remember watching Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory as a kid with my cousin,
which was on Monster Vision, by the way.
Yes. Watching it on Monster Vision with my cousin. I'd seen it before. I love Willy Wonka, and we were like, basically, I don't know, we're like messing around, and then Ice Cream fucking Man came on after it, and it started out in black and white. Didn't know the title of it. Watched it, you know, years later. That one just so happened knew it was about an ice cream man, and I was like, you know, just eventually saw a film called Ice Cream Man. I was like, I bet that's that movie. So yeah, that was one that I remember seeing, like renting on VHS like years later, but at the time I loved it. I remember seeing it on Monster Vision, just loving it, and then not seeing it for a while. But that happened to me all the goddamn. There's still to this day films that I had seen on there that I'm like, I wonder what that was. You know, Parents was another one, but I've never revisited Parents since I seen it on Monster Vision. And I do have the Vestron, so that's why I'm actually like kind of holding off. Like I loved watching it on Monster Vision when I was a kid, but I barely remember anything, and I'm kind of just like looking forward to eventually seeing it because I've never seen it since Monster Vision, and it took me forever to find out what the title was, and then I eventually found out. And so that's that. There was a lot growing up that this happened. This happened to me all the time. It's a pain in the ass. But did you think of any modes?
Yeah, I could think of one for sure, which was Dead Heat.
Dude, that's one of mine. That's one of mine. I swear to God.
Yeah.
I seen it as a kid. Have this, like a real young kid too. Have this memory of like a pig or something. It's like something. Didn't know what it was till recently, dude. I had this memory forever, and I was like, what the hell was that movie?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's one of mine.
I just always remember Joe Piscopo, and I was like, that dude that was on SNL. Yeah, so I always remember that one. I can't honestly think of too many more. It's weird.
TV was a big deal to me. One of mine was mosquito. Another one was actually ticks. I didn't know what ticks was.
You were so high on mosquitoes coming out, and then you never really talked about it.
Dude, I love mosquitoes.
I know.
I did it for a movie night.
All right, Mr. Talking when mouth's full. How's that any different than me doing this?
Dude, don't do that. Stop, man.
Oh, but you can talk with your fucking mouth full of food?
It's not like a shocking, loud, hurt in your ear noise.
Ah, fuck off.
Like, people listen to the show with headphones on, dude.
Oh, actually, I have another one too, man. I just thought of one. Body Parts from 1991. It's got...
Stick that up on Laserdisc.
Yeah, man. That was a movie right there that I remember seeing and having no clue what the fuck it was until way down the road. It's got Brad Dourif in it, which we'll actually talk about Brad Dourif later. But yeah, it's a good movie. It's like a super out of print DVD and shit. Needs a fucking good release, but it's a good movie.
I literally just picked that up.
That was one forever. I couldn't figure out what the hell it was until probably in the 2000s, and and I'm stuck with the VHS now. That's all I have.
That's cool.
So yeah.
All right, Jer. Since you don't have any.
Doesn't Moods have to do an introduction?
Oh, yeah, that was it for the voice. Oh, yeah, there was only one voicemail. Okay, so cool. Well, thanks again for the voicemail. And again, man, hit us up if you want to leave some voicemails, because apparently we're answering them now.
724-426-6665. I remember that off the top of my head.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the voicemail's been back forever, but it's like when it broke, everybody was like, guess I'm never calling the voicemail again. Then I fixed it, and then nobody called the voicemail. We used to get tons of them.
Yes, we did. Alrighty, moving along here, man. Jeremy, let's get into some Deadmail.
All right, since everybody was crying that Deadmail went away, I'd bring it back. Episode 100.
They were just being nice.
You know what, dude? Suck my dick. Episode 159. On this cover, we have from January
159?
No, issue number 159, sorry. From January 1997, the worst year of horror. We have Tim Burton's Mars Attack on the cover. And on the side, we have The X-Files, Double Dose of Yuletide Terror with Black Christmas and Christmas Evil, Necromanicon, and You'll Scream for Wes Craven's latest. So this is the issue that talked about Scream when it was getting made.
Oh, okay.
What was that one? The Necronomicon? Necronomicon was on there? Okay.
Scream had already been out by then.
Yeah.
Had to be Scream 2.
Maybe it's a review or something.
Scream 2.
Let me see what it says. Oh, whatever. Let's read some stuff. All right. John Carpenter is my favorite director. I own every Laserdisc he made, saw In the Mouth of Madness 13 times in the theater, and have nearly every line from the thing memorized. On opening day from Escape from L.A., as you could imagine, I grabbed my girlfriend and rushed off to see a film I have been waiting months for. Jesus, fuck you!
What? We always comment on the things as they're going.
I never thought I would see a Carpenter movie with virtually no redeeming qualities, but unfortunately, now I have. I never had a good feeling about this film from the start. Carpenter hates sequels. He says that quite plainly, yet the studio were pushing him to do this thing. I almost feel as if he purposely made it bad to spite them. Regardless, the movie sucks. Please give Carpenter some money to make Creature from the Black Lagoon. It's something he wants to do. See, that's interesting. This movie mocks Escape from New York. Each scene plays like Carpenter took it directly from that film, lamified it, then spewed it out. Mm-hmm. The basketball scene is just like the one in the first film with Snake fights the giant guy. I knew what would happen before it happened. Either Carpenter was telling the studio to screw off with this movie, or his later experiment is a failure. He's still my favorite director, though.
See, I hate people like this guy. Because I guarantee you Carpenter didn't make a bad movie to intentionally piss off the studios. That's only hurting his own career.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the fact that he
stupid.
started out with, yeah, I'm a big John Carpenter fan and I own all of his Laserdiscs. That's Jeremy talking right there. I didn't even realize he was reading.
Dumb.
I didn't even realize he was reading for a second.
But no, like, why would John Carpenter intentionally make a bad movie to piss off the studio? Like, why wouldn't he just not do the movie to piss off the studio? You know what I mean? Like, what does pissing off the studio help you in any way whatsoever? Like, why can't John Carpenter have just made a lazy bad movie for money?
Well, I always thought it was just a straight paycheck too. I mean,
Yeah,
he
that's
definitely,
what I'm saying. This guy's such a big Carpenter fan that he can't imagine that Carpenter just made a movie lazily and didn't, that just did it for a paycheck and didn't have no, what I mean? Like, he made a bad movie.
It is true.
Right? Am I right?
Yeah, definitely true. I mean, Carpenter's been like, he didn't have his heart set in Village of the Damned either. That was one of those things too. So, I guess pretty much actually kind of ironic a little bit because Village of the Damned and Escape from L.A. came out back to back, and then he did probably one of his better films, and underrated films, In the Mouth of Madness, around the same time. So,
Yep.
but yeah.
Okay, let's see. This one comes from The Killer, no address. And he writes, I've taken notice of many... Wait, let me grab this better. That's what she said. I've taken notice of many letters recently complaining about how bad your movie criticism is, and I disagree with most of these people. First off, a review of some duds like In the Mouth of Madness, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, and The Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre definitely hit the mark. Dr. Cyclops' reviews are very scathing.
Of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Although it is interesting that he is
the original
covering
title for part 4.
Okay.
more of the mainstream movies rather than some of the direct-to-video and independent films that his column seems to depend on. Even though I think he is slightly losing it, dissing just about every movie he sees. Also, getting Caius Bellone to cover last year's prolific but mediocre horror output was interesting since he always had something blah blah blah. I just thought it was funny. It said The Return to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's all that's what you thought was funny?
Yeah.
Hold on. That
Pump
Return
your
to Texas
brakes.
Chainsaw Massacre is actually a title that's a pretty common known thing. I'm surprised you guys didn't know that. And also, funny thing that reminds me of Return of the Texas Chainsaw. What's a dumb title, by the way? But I was watching Children of the Corn 3 the other day, and
Why?
I watched it on VHS. I just like it.
You like that Chicago setting? It's so authentic.
I had some free time. And I was just like, you know what? I was going through some VHS. I'm trying to watch stuff that I haven't watched on VHS just to make sure they work, like stuff that I bought.
Do you watch them on an old TV, like an old tube TV, or do you watch them on a flash?
I watch them on a small HD TV. It's like 19 inches. It seems to cut down like the bad quality that you get from watching VHS on HD TVs.
Yeah.
But because I know what you mean, like VHS on HD big screen TVs is so trash. But if you watch it on a smaller
Like a CRT.
screen, yeah. But I was watching it, and at the beginning, they show all the previews, and they showed a preview for Halloween 666. The origin of Michael Myers, and it even like says that, and I'm like, oh shit, this is back when they called it the origin.
Yeah.
It was like before they recut the film and put it out and stuff. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, here's something that's kind of related to that. This comes from Ryan Harding, and he writes, "It's a familiar story. A hopeful director previews his film to a test audience, often people in a mall, which some of you will recall inspired the social commentary at Dawn of the Dead. They hate it. Changes are made. The new diluted suspect's product is released and fails at the box office, and horror fans write Fangoria to proclaim their displeasure with the film, left to wonder what might have been. Think about some of the movies that have undergone test screenings. Videodrome and Lords of Illusion immediately spring to mind. After the test audience's input, changes were made. Neither film took the box office by storm, which was a shame since both films were original and well crafted. In other words, test audience Test audiences will not help a movie's grosses and may end up sabotaging what genre admirers were hoping for. Recently, I heard that Thinner was held up for release because of 3 guesses: a test audience's dissatisfaction with the ending. At least no one could blame the director for altering King's work. The test audience caught a free movie with a nonchalant pulls apart from the eagerness that readers of this magazine would have shown. If audience testings continue, the questionnaires should ask things like, have you seen Suspiria, or do you know who David Cronenberg is? If the reply is negative, then tear up the card. Root out the people who don't grasp horror's impact on surreal levels because they don't deserve to judge this kind of film, much less see it before the people who care.
Yeah, that's always been a problem. I've always been against test audiences because of that exact reason. Because the people that are seeing these films in these test audiences are not the fucking crowd that these movies are being marketed to. It's bullshit.
That is true. Like there's multi-layers to what this guy just said. So one, his idea of asking them if they saw a Cronenberg film or know who Suspiria is.
Well, it's kind of giving them giving them an opportunity. It's giving them an opportunity to give them a little bit of street cred.
But that's a terrible idea because those aren't the people that are making the money for these movies anyway. That's just the people who are going to like these movies. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because that's not where the people who like horror are not the people that are your big chunk of money coming from. However, what you said about the biggest,
but you still want to make the movies for the fans though too, you know.
Well, I think you want to make the movie for as wide of an audience as possible.
Well, of course,
when you're going for a wide release.
But I just think when you have a lot of people that are making these decisions by voting on a card whether to cut this or put this or take that out or whatever, I think it affects the product. Well,
that was my
intended for the core audience of what they're shooting for. You know,
see that. Well, that's my second part of what I was saying is that's the biggest problem is the people that they're actually getting for the test audiences aren't that's not actually a representation of the whole as well. So
yeah, do you think like a lot of people?
So both things.
Like Halloween didn't make a boatload of money just cause.
Well, that's why I figure the way he says, give him a card and ask him a question, it's like a street cred question. I think it's just, he's saying it in a jokingly way, but at the same time, it kind of makes a little bit of sense.
I think he's
though.
Pretty serious. I think he's serious.
No. He, it's of course he's being serious too, but at the same time, in my mind, it's like, fuck yeah, those are the people if you're going to be doing test audiences, at least have the right people in there. That's all he's saying. That's
I agree with that, yeah. But both of those are extremes. Having people who don't matter, like because I've seen this film is not yet rated and other things, and other like I heard a podcast where somebody was like, I was part of some of these test screenings, and it was like middle-aged Latino moms who was all filled in this thing.
See that?
And
that's the goddamn Oscar Academy right there. Those are the people.
So that's a problem, but also only dictating towards horror fans I think is a huge problem too, because let's face it, like I loved a film like Hereditary. The general audience doesn't, right? Like that's just not, but luckily that film did good, I think. But
I just look at it like this way, man, in real simple terms. I mean, if the three of us were in a test audience versus somebody like Roger Ebert, and let's take it back to 1983, slasher films, we're watching a slasher film. And, our opinion and our thoughts, if it's going to be taken to heart, that film's going to turn out different if Roger Ebert gets his way, right? I'm just saying, this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, but that's again, that's an extreme. That's somebody who shouldn't be there.
It's just an example to paint a picture, though. So I went extreme, right? But in layman's terms, like it's quite obvious that would happen, right? So if you have a whole audience full of Roger Eberts versus a whole audience of 22 shot motherfuckers.
Obviously that would be massively different, but I'm not saying, but again, we would probably hurt the film too, though, if it was if it was trying to make money, if it's trying to hit because we like things that a lot of people don't like too, though. Like I'm talking about, the mainstream if your goal
but
is
is
to
it
make
selfish
the film
just to make it? Is it really that selfish just to want them to make the best film regardless of money? You know, like if I was sitting there, I'd be like, yo, man. Well,
but the best film to us is not the best film to the mainstream, though. You know what I mean? So that's different.
Yeah, we say that when It Comes at Night and Mother and all those movies.
Well, I mean, yeah, we have different opinions even on Mother. I think it's trash.
Just because we think it's the best film doesn't mean it is. You know what I mean? I
think that movie's trash.
I completely get it. I just don't like it. I don't like the whole Bible shit, man. It's just, I just didn't enjoy it.
Reddit? What are you talking about?
No, he thought Mother was trash.
Oh, I loved Mother.
Yeah, I think it's one of the... I'm actually quite surprised Jeremy did. Well, actually, I'm not surprised because it's really fucking artsy and shit. But anyways, that's not the point. We're not talking about Mother. But, it's not a poorly made film. But
I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, you want... Like, as a fan of horror movies, you would want the films that we like. But I'm saying, like, sometimes if we seen Happy Death Day, you might want a completely different movie in a test screening. You know what I mean? But at the same time, a lot of people like that type of movie.
Like Andrew Schreier.
I liked it too. You know what I mean? So it's
but who knows, man? Even Andrew might have liked it even more if it was R and they had on-screen good kills and just altered certain things. You can do this Groundhog Day horror thing, right? And if you have a little bit of, I mean, just throw in the fucking...
But you can't just say that, because, dude, listen. Every single PG-13 film that's out there, we are going to say, let's make it R. You know, that's we're going to say that.
No, but I'm not actually saying that at all, because there's some PG-13 films that work perfectly fine. I'm just saying,
it's like,
when you take Happy Death Day...
perfectly fine, but wouldn't you say...
It's the type of film I'm talking about. Happy Death Day is a slasher film, and to me, slasher films need to be slasher films, not dumbed down versions of, their presetters. It's like there's so many good fucking movies out there, slasher film, and I just think that's one subgenre of horror that when you dumb it down, it really doesn't work. Because the point of slashers is to have good fucking kills, man. That is literally the only reason. Look at the Friday the 13th franchise.
But this slasher has a story too, though. Like, that's why it's a little bit different for me. Is like, I like good kills as much as the next person. Well, but I was invested in the story.
Even as minute as a lot of slasher films are, storyboard wise, they still technically have a minor thing. I mean, yeah, it has a story. It's repetitive as fuck. It would give fucking that movie gives fucking Bill Murray a goddamn headache for sure. But
anyway, to get back on track with what I'm saying is you can't have
it's all about JP
too much of anything. Like, to me, if you have pure horror fans saying, like, I don't like the idea of, like, if you don't know who David Cronenberg is, then your card should be like ripped up because the people who are hardcore David Cronenberg films aren't going to make your film super successful. They're just not.
I think what he's saying, though, I think the product is different. If you know who somebody like Argento or Fulci or Mario Bava versus just, mainstream directors is, I think that's what he was implying. I think the end product's just a little bit different. It's just a little bit different. But even in the 90s, people knew who Fulci and Argento were and Mario Bava.
Yeah, but still more hardcore fans, though. Yeah. Like...
Well, because there was no social media, it's easier to get the products out now. Everybody should technically know who these guys are because it's right at your fucking fingertips all day long. Yeah. But
to me, it's like that's like I've seen how hardcore fans think horror should be done, and it doesn't necessarily equate to the masses.
It essentially comes down to, a lot of horror fans are probably a little bit more elitist-wise when it comes to that shit. They wanted to do it this way, and, this is the right way kind of thing. I mean, I'm still very subjective and still willing to, be open to the ideas of, still taking a film for what it is and making the right adjustments. Money-wise, I mean, I'm never motivated by that, though. That's just me personally. We've had this conversation a million fucking times.
Well, but that's the whole point of a test screening, though, right?
For sure.
Well, we need to make this film good for its release.
Of course, it's at the end of the day, it's all about the money. But at the same time, it's still about making a good product, not just altering it for the sake of, well, you know what? Even though that scene really fucking sucks, it's probably going to be loved by, Billy Bob and fucking Martha over here.
But you're supposed to be putting yourself in the mindset of like, okay, I'm need to make this film as successful as possible. That's the whole point of a test screening. So like you got to, when you're talking about it, you have to be in the mindset, even though you personally don't care about that, you have to be in the mindset of, well, how do I make this as successful as possible?
Yeah, but I also said I'm still open to the fact of doing the right thing, right? I'm just talking with me personally, but I get it though. I completely get it. I mean, at the end of the day, nobody makes movies not to make money, but at the same time, there is a lot. You have to walk this fine line of, wanting to put the best product out and still make the money, right? You don't want to don't want to put out something shoddy just because it's going to make fucking money.
Yeah, obviously, right? You want to make.
You still want to hold the integrity of the genre too. When you're making genre films, I feel like filmmakers still want to incorporate the integrity of what the genre means to people and the fans. I mean, there's no comedy conventions for, the same reasons that there's there is no comedy conventions, right? But there's horror conventions, and it caters to a certain crowd because of its like culture, and I think that's a big thing. It's a big thing for me.
So I think the biggest thing that you could do, and I think this would be like, because what my whole point of this argument is, don't be extreme either way. Don't get these random Latino moms to watch your movie and take their opinion seriously. Don't get hardcore horror fanatics who only see their point of view to judge your film. I'm saying you need to meet somewhere in the middle. And one thing you could do by that is ask somebody on a questionnaire, do you like horror films? That's simple, right? Because the people who are going to go see, Thinner are not people who don't like horror films. People who like horror. So if you're getting advice from people who don't like horror films for a horror movie, that's bad. So I'm all for,
but isn't this just common sense though? Isn't this just common sense? Like if you were going to hold a screening for your film, wouldn't you want right away to have a screening for the people that are actually going to be watching your fucking test
exactly,
screening?
And that's my point. That's my point.
It just totally makes sense, right? Like, I think this is common sense. Like,
you don't have to say, are you a horror fan?
No.
Just, do you like horror films? And if the answer is no, then don't include their question, their feedback in your adjustments to the film.
It's the same thing with doing a jury. Hundreds of people get fucking
do
summoned
you like
for jury,
black people?
Right? And then they weed out the people that aren't going to win them the case. And that's kind of exactly what this test screening business is all about. It's the exact same shit. You want to weed out those people that are going to be like, not fuck your shit up, man. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm still not a fan of it.
Test screenings are
part of the process.
They are.
It is and it isn't.
Me, I think they do more harm.
Yeah, it is part of the process.
Not everybody agrees to do them, though. There is directors out there that do not do them for this exact reason.
Well, most directors don't have a choice.
Yeah, they have to do it.
Yeah,
because they don't own the film. That it's it's more about the producers.
See, everybody should be like Tarantino, man. Just fucking don't,
Well, Tarantino is like that because he has the power to be.
That's what I'm
saying. He's fucking Tarantino. Yeah, but if Mike Flanagan tries that shit, they'll be like, "Fuck you, Mike. We'll go get somebody else." Nobody's gonna say that to Tarantino.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I mean, I think I have heard stories in which test screenings have changed for the positive. Like you hear it every once in a while where people are like, "We did test screening, and the audiences didn't like this, so we went back and."
But more often than not, you always hear about the test screenings that changed. Studio interference got involved, and they held like 3 test screenings, and they altered all this shit, and it's like, and at the end of the day, you watch the final product, and you go, "I wonder what the other versions were like."
What sucks to me is we never get that other version. Like, just fucking put that out too. I want to see that version.
I mean, now we are usually.
Yeah, we get some of them. We get some of them. But, we did with, what was the, Lord of Illusions,
and now Halloween.
And, the funny thing is, Lord of Illusions, either way, still doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Theatrical or director cut, so, whatever. Scott Bakula's cool, but.
Yeah. All right, I got one more here from Stephen Portman. And he writes, "Imagine my surprise when I opened the door to our bathroom and saw with delight my 3-year-old Jonah sitting gingerly upon the toilet taking a shit, reading a copy of your valuable publication. I flashed back and saw myself at his age, perhaps a wee bit older, in the same positions and reading Forey's famous monsters of filmland. Who said the times that are changing? Well, maybe the magazine are, but our family's interest in the horror genre remains true and consistent.
That was me as a child, but I was doing an upper decker. I love the term.
All right. And these are the DVDs that were coming out in January 1997. We got Children of the Corn 4.
Nice.
The Surgeon.
It's a good one. I like Children of the Corn 4.
The Surgeon.
The Surgeon. What the fuck is that?
It has like a water drip bag with a person's skull face on it.
Huh. Wow. I must have missed that.
It says
one.
the hospital horror-rama was originally licensed under the title Exquisite Tenderness.
What?
Which, according to the script, is the point where pain reaches its most extreme. Blah, blah, blah.
I don't think I know this one. Crazy. Cool.
Rumpelstiltskin.
Well, we'll have to check it out when we do 1997 top 10.
Oh, God.
Rumpelstiltskin. Oh, wow. That movie sucks.
Dark Man 3.
Nice.
And Protis.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go on a limb and assume Jeremy didn't pronounce that properly. So.
Protis. Proteus.
I think I know that. I think I do.
From Fidmark.
Yeah. Huh. 97 was a pretty banging year.
Oh, yeah. That's why I totally want to do that on the top 10.
I know, man. We got to get 72 out of the way. I want to go back to the 90s.
72 is going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun. It's good films.
That should do it.
That's it for Deadmail? All right.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
And now, our feature presentation.
Oh, yeah, getting into the featured reviews here on week 1 of Italian Horror Month. Oh, man, super excited to get this going here. And, of course, like we do every single year per JP,
thanks to me.
Per JP, we are going to be hitting you guys off with Dario Argento 4.
Fourth
very
year
original,
for Dario Argento. And listen, the Dario Argento episodes do the best. They do. Facts. All 3 years have outperformed every other, thing it was up against.
Whoop-de-doo, it's not your fucking fault. It's because his name's Dario Argento.
I know, but I'm
Fulcis
saying,
did pretty
why
good.
not? The Fulcis do good, of course. It's the second most popular, or debatably first most popular name in Italian horror.
Most popular. The most popular.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. But it's not only that, like, I'm enjoying, like, you look back and by the time we're done with this, you could cut all those reviews together and have a complete career retrospective of Dario Argento, which is
wait till we get to the last year.
Oh, yeah, the end is going to be real nasty.
Yeah, everybody says that, but I've never seen those films.
Actually, next year, if we're continuing along in order, oh man, seriously,
What is it?
Oh fuck, man, one of them is going to be Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, which I hear is arguably his worst film.
Holy shit balls, it's really bad.
Yeah,
Like really, really bad. And Sleepless, and then The Card Player. So if we go in that order, yeah, I mean,
oddly enough, did you know that The Card Player originally was written as a sequel to Stendhal, which we're covering tonight?
Huh.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is interesting. Huh. So they must have changed the script then.
Yeah. So,
But
yeah, it's interesting because it's been great, right? It's been great. Bird with the Three Animals trilogy, great films. The Mothers trilogy, great films. And then, last year, Opera, Phenomena, Tenebrae, and what was it? Deep Red, great films. So, like, this year, we'll talk about it, but it's getting to that point where people say, like, this is where Argento.
This is his last good movie, the first one that we're going to talk about. I always heard like
I've
opera's
multiple
like his last
things.
good movie.
This is, in my opinion, man, this is
I
where
hear
Argento
that-
goes sideways.
Yeah.
I hear that Opera is Argento's last great movie, but I hear people say Stendhal is his last like solid movie.
Well,
but I don't know. It just depends who you ask, right?
Yeah,
I wouldn't say that.
We'll debate on that in a minute.
His next
But
movie is pretty man.
anyways, first up here from Dario Argento, 1987's Opera. Synopsis. A young opera singer, Betty, gets her big chance when the previous star of the production of Macbeth is run over by a car. Convinced the opera is bad luck, she accepts and becomes the target of a psychopath, a man she has been dreaming about since childhood.
I want to know why you suck this movie's dick so much, JP.
It's fantastic.
Well,
It's good. It's good. I enjoyed it, but it's far from as good as his earlier films. Like it
I
doesn't
think
even
it's
come
just
close.
as good. As
you know
his
what,
earlier
man?
films.
You know what?
I don't.
I
feel that.
swear to God, every time I watch opera, I love it more.
Yeah.
You know what,
Yeah,
man? I
it's
think
great.
First off, man, I mean, in the first 15 minutes of, it's actually kind of an interesting movie because I've heard and read a lot of reviews. I've mostly heard from people that they have a hard time getting through the first 50 minutes because there's a lot of opera music in it. And
Yeah, but it's shot
the whole
so
movie's like that.
beautifully.
well,
though.
actually, there's not really a lot of opera music. There's some towards the end, but the whole middle part, there's not really a lot of like stage performance, opera singing and stuff. But I've heard people say, oh, it's just so tedious in the first 50 minutes. And I'm like, man, are you not seeing what I'm seeing? Because in my opinion, when we're getting that stage presence, the cinematography in the opera house, that fucking panning around the
Dude,
opera
it's
house shot
outstanding.
might even be the best shot that Dario Argento's ever done.
I was thinking the same thing.
It
dude.
is literally-
There's multiple shots in this film.
Oh, there is.
That
Yeah.
showcase how this might be Argento's best shot film. I mean, Tenebre's there too, but there's mad evidence in this film to showcase that this might be Argento's best
There is
shot
a
film.
lot of really amazing, just technical aspects of the way they shot
Creative
it.
stuff too.
Well, they had to
creative stuff.
They literally had to they shot the shit from the roof and had it on a rotator and just the way it's shot. But there's a lot of really great panning shots through the stairs and just long panning, like beautiful
There's
cinematography.
also like shots that are like, I forget what it's called. What's it called where you tilt the camera and it's not a straight across anymore? There's like tons of that stuff going on.
You tilt the camera, but it's not straight across. What do you mean?
Like the image is skewed. Like it's like more diagonal than straight looking forward. There's a name for it. I forget what the shot's called.
Yeah, there might. I don't
should
know.
know this
I know what you're
film.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
the image
but-
is just skewed. It's sideways. It's
exactly.
Like,
yeah.
It's like tilted now.
Well, yeah, like
But
that
the-
cinematography when the scene where the ravens get loose in the opera house and
Yeah,
he's kind of
that's my
following it
favorite
around. And
shot.
shit. That shit is insane, man.
Yeah, it's good.
There's so many long shots of it's crazy. Like he outdid
I'm not
himself
saying
with this.
it's not a well-made movie. That's not what I said. I just don't think. Maybe it's because it's the first time I've watched it or something. I just,
They
I
call
just,
it a Dutch angle, by the way.
Okay, yeah, I've heard. the
didn't
term.
get as much out of it as you guys did.
You know what, Jeremy? I've always preached this with Italian films, and JP can probably co-sign me on this.
Good? Probably.
Is a lot of times when you watch Italian films, you get more out of them after second, third watch. You really do.
It's 100% true.
And opera is-
especially with Argento.
Opera is one of those films that, for even myself, if I've appreciated more with watches, because I never realized watching this movie early in the early 2000s, I think was the first time I seen it. I didn't realize the layers to our main character. And, it seems like when you watch this movie and you take it for face value, it seems pretty basic. It's about a girl that's, she's being forced to watch her friends die in front of her. And, and the killer literally lets her go and he fucks with her this whole movie.
I love that. It's so unique, right? It's different.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you've seen what Argento has done up until this point.
Yeah.
A lot of his films are goddamn the same. You know what I mean? This is a different spin on that giallo type trope of the black glove killer.
Yeah.
Let's make the black glove killer a little bit different this time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what is he doing? It's so creative. He's taking needles, putting them on tape, capturing the girl, tying her up, forcing her to watch.
I mean, it's just like Clockwork Orange.
It's a double layer mystery because it's a mystery of why the killer is doing this. And it's a mystery of why he's letting her go. You know, it's like you're just wondering what the fuck is going on. But as we follow Betty, like her character is, you don't really know why she's acting the way she's acting through the film too. It's kind of bizarre, right? Because, you know, when you would have your boyfriend or someone that you're semi close to die, when you call the cops, wouldn't you give them your name and, you know, want them to get down the read away and shit like that? Mm-hmm. Because she's confused on the whole thing. She, you know, her character, she almost feels semi-responsible for what's happening, right? That's why we get these kind of odd layers with Betty. Why though? That's the thing, right? And you don't know this until there is a moment in the film where they actually disclose her backstory and why these things might be happening. And then it kind of all makes sense, but it's kind of interesting and then you still don't know who and why the killer's doing this shit. I mean, it gets a little bit wide and stuff, but there's a lot of layers to Betty. And I like that because it's there's a lot of complex stuff that's going on in the middle of the film in a very simple face valued film. I love that. It's really good, man.
I would think on the surface that this would just come off silly, right? Like, oh, the killer captures her and tapes needles under her eyes. I'm like, how would he do but you just accept it. And there's one of the reasons you accept it is how brutal it actually is and how cringy it is whenever you see the shots behind the needles and you see the eyes blinking and tapping the needles. And of course they're not real, but you see them tapping them. Even the actress, the real life actress, her eyelids are tapping them sometimes. And it's like, that just is, it makes you so uncomfortable. I love how the camera is shot behind the needle sometimes and it shows from her actual eyeballs perspective. That's some creative stuff there.
Yeah, the POV shot, yeah.
It was just such an interesting idea. And I believe I read that Argento came up with that idea when he was watching a movie with his critic, in the theater, and people were criticizing it or something or something like that, which there's a lot of that in this film. But he's like, I wish I could just tape needles to their eyes or something so they couldn't close their eyes or fall asleep or something.
You know what I mean? Clockwork Orange.
I have never seen that all the way through.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, it's very.
I like how they even incorporated the fact that Macbeth is doing Macbeth plays bad luck and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That was genius because it's actually.
What about that stupid bitch that second bitch that dies, the clothes lady? She was a dumbass.
What do you mean?
What about her?
She just she kept on fighting back and then she didn't run away.
It was a little weird how that played out. Yeah, because it's she was all really cared about that bracelet for some reason. You know what I mean? It's normal people would probably just be like,
yeah,
what
that's actually one of the minor complaints in the film I have, because there is a scene where she kind of, we see her that she finds out who the killer is, right? And then she goes to say, she's like, and then she goes to say something, but it's kind of shot it's kind of shot too staggery a little bit, and there's enough time for her to blurt out who it is. You know? But she doesn't, and then she, of course.
You're trying to create a moment of suspense, which I like that Argento gets that, the Italian Hitchcock. It's supposed to be suspenseful, and it kind of would work. Maybe if it was if there could be something lost in translation there too, you know what I mean? Being in English, maybe it's
I watched it in Italian.
Yeah, I watched it in English. It's shot in English.
I know.
Yeah. Oddly enough, the main character in this film, Betty, I think she's Spanish.
Yeah, they do some weird stuff.
I think she was in real life, she's Spanish. And from what I've heard, actually, Argento had the worst time ever with her as a lead. She was just awful to work with.
She was Klaus
That's
Kinski.
So funny. I just read that when you said.
Yeah, I remember.
He said she's the most difficult actress he's ever worked with.
Yeah, and then he tried to he's like, you're never gonna work in this industry again, man. It was she was that bad that he tried to fucking blacklist her kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like Klaus Kinski whenever his name tried to kill him, the guy who did Tourist Trap.
Yeah, exactly.
He literally tried to kill him.
Yeah, it's crazy shit, man. Crazy.
Yeah, there's a line in this film. I don't remember where it is, but the police ask the director of the play about how he used to direct violent horror movies or something like that, and then
the director of the film
of the play,
her friend who
the blonde-haired guy.
The police ask him something about his relation to violence and movies or something like that.
Yeah.
And he says some snarky ass comment that basically is what we always say, you know, like that art is art and violence has nothing to do with film. And I thought that was, you know, obviously Argento commenting on how people have criticized his films for being overly violent and stuff. I thought that was really
100%.
Cool.
That guy was.
This one isn't even like overly violent. Like this one's not even overly
pretty violent.
It has one of my absolute favorite kills.
Me too.
Out of any Argento film, and he's done.
We all know bullet, the gun.
Yep, that's my favorite.
Oh no, I actually find that kind of stupid. To be honest,
what?
It's
no, not the kill itself. The setup, because she went back and looked through the peephole again, and I'm like, it's probably not going to really happen like that. I mean, if you notice someone has a gun, you're going to keep looking through a peephole? No. And everybody would say no.
Probably not. But, I mean, I don't think that it was overly...
No, it's a cool kill, but if you look at the logic behind it, I mean, if you realize that someone on the other side of the door has a gun, and you literally have seen them through the peephole, you're not going to put your eye back through there. There's no fucking way. But anyways...
Yeah, well, I think she just is still looking, and she's, like, just hasn't pulled away yet.
Well, she does... She totally notes that he's got that. You know, it pans straight in. But anyways,
she's like, no, let me see your face.
The knife through the bottom of the mouth.
At this point, she thinks that it's possible that he's tricking her into thinking he's a police officer. He's like, look, I have a gun. You know, I have my badge. And she's like, no, wait, let me see your face. And that's when she gets shot.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I guess the boyfriend. The boyfriend. The knife through the bottom of the chin. Yeah, and I love the shot of it. It's the way it happens, though. It's really actually kind of shocking. Like, it just kind of comes out of nowhere. But I love that angle of attack. Yeah. But it's the way it's shot, though, because it pans right in, and it's got this really kind of close up shot of the blade in his mouth. Fuck, man, great. That's fucking awesome. And then cue the metal music right at that exact moment again. And
how do you guys feel about the metal music?
I love it, and that was Argento in this time period, right? Because he did it with Demons. Of course, he produced that for Lamberto.
I don't know. It kind of feels a little. It doesn't really fit the tone of the movie.
I feel like one thing that I like about it.
Oh, I think it adds to it so much.
I normally listen. I don't like that kind of music in my regular listening, but I do think that it actually works in this film because of the way that it comes on whenever this person is tied up, and it's like it's powerful. It just has this, you know, chaotic nature to it, which is what I think the character is feeling, this sort of helplessness and this just intensity.
I think it's the perfect contrast to what we're getting with the opera sound, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you don't want... I think it's perfect because these kills are intense, they're thrilling and shit. You need something to kind of amp it up. And
there's also great music that isn't the metal stuff that goes on throughout the film, too.
Yes. The actual score is amazing. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah...
I think this movie has... It's just a very entertaining, and I'm into it. And minus like the one or two flaws when it comes to actual acting or like what the characters are doing, like you said, the girl looking through the peephole, or the girl who is trying to fight back the killer over the fucking bracelet. I agree with Jeremy. It's a little weird how that is kind of stupid, but besides those little flaws, like I just think it's a good story. It's the killer is scary. The killer is scary that he's just popping up and then he's not killing the girl.
And that scene, the scene with the fire, I don't know. That was a little iffy for me too.
Which scene?
Oh, is that's Death Helm? No.
Which scene?
No, he's
the scene with the fire
at the end, like how the killer, like what part of it?
I don't know. It's like he has that fake body and he escapes somehow without her fucking noticing. He's going out the damn window.
Can't remember what you're talking about.
It's this film, right, Moods?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's when she's in the room with the killer and he lights it on fire and she thinks he burns to death, but he actually got away.
Yeah, he basically throws a huge life-size
dummy.
and then it's dubbed in the news that, you know, the killer
burns to life. It's like, how does nobody know that's a fucking dummy and not a person?
Was it a person or was it a straight dummy?
It was a dummy. They even say that.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I can't remember that really, but yeah, I guess that's a little bit of a problem. But I think that this movie just blends like beautiful cinematography and violence together so well. And I think that the setting is just, they utilize the setting so goddamn well in this movie. The opera house, the beautiful shots that you get, and just the vibe that it creates, where it feels like this grand place. And like even like when the chick goes back to her boyfriends or whatever, the like his room is fucking pretty cool, man. It's like this.
It's his uncle's. He lets me live here.
And the other thing with this movie with Argento, this is the very last film that really has that Argento aesthetic to it. It's got all the bright reds and the really warm hues.
It doesn't really have that many.
There's
bright
some good.
reds,
it does. The whole movie's like that, man.
There's some lighting that goes on in this film.
There is, man. If you're paying attention, like, I mean, this is actually the second time this year I've watched this movie, but
me too.
The colors, it's just fucking so beautiful, man. The whole movie, he always knows when to put those scenes and the colors in the background. You just kind of have to watch around, and you get that full feel of an Argento film, man. It just, absolutely love this movie, man. It's just so good on so many different levels, man. But one of my favorite things about this film is actually like just like the way the killer is actually revealed, because they tell you earlier in the film that there's a scene where these ravens are basically killed, like slaughtered off.
Yep.
And someone mentions, after the slaughter of the ravens, that, the ravens, they never forget. They have a really good memory for this type of thing. And, they don't go as far to say exact revenge, but that's what they're implying. And then this is how the killer is actually revealed in the film, is by the ravens attack. And I love that how they set that up. It's simple, but it works. It wasn't a human the ravens pinpointed who the killer is. I think that's fucking fantastic. It's always been a thing I've adored about this movie. It's great.
Yeah, so, it is cool. That's
pretty cool. And actually, there's another little thing that always kind of bugged me about this movie. A scene, I think it's maybe their second performance, or maybe it's in the first. I can't remember, but when she's on stage and there's a commotion up on one of the balconies there, and one of the lights falls and hits the ground, right?
That's when the first guy dies, right?
Yeah, they're right at the beginning.
Yeah, right at the beginning. Yeah, that's right, when he gets hung up on the coat or the hanger thing.
Yeah, that was a good kill too.
Yeah, that's a good kill. But the thing I never understood about that scene is that she claims that she heard the screams, but no one else did. I'm like, she's on stage, not only singing, but she's pretty far away. And if you're singing,
does she say that? I don't remember her saying
she
that.
Actually
does.
I
don't remember either.
She does. She says that she actually heard the screams. Like, she's like, something happened up there, kind of thing, right? And I was like, how? Okay, that doesn't make any fucking sense, because if you're on stage and singing, you're most likely going to drown that out. And how did no one else hear the screams and commotion, right? So that always kind of bugged me a little bit. But
yeah,
just a little nitpick. But I was just thought maybe you guys had an explanation for that.
No, I don't remember that part for some reason.
I don't remember it, yeah.
Yeah, she says that, I heard that, and everyone's kind of like, oh, yeah, well, the light fell. Like, yeah, quite clearly. But
Sauvé's in this film. Do you know that?
Yep. She's the girl who gets her eye shot out.
Did you say she?
Yeah.
Wait, who did you say?
Sauvé.
Oh, I thought you said
Mikel Suave.
Suave.
Yeah, I think he plays one of the inspectors.
Yeah.
I think But yeah.
So, I guess ratings?
Is that all we got?
I guess so.
I guess we're giving the whole
I'll go first.
Okay.
Yeah, we're remaining spoiler free, obviously, for these. So this film is, like, Moods mentioned that sometimes with Argento you need to watch the film a couple times to really appreciate it, which I do agree with. Like, I watched Tenebrae, liked it even more than I did the first time. Inferno is probably one I need to go back to, and Deep Red, considering those are probably the two that I like the least out of everything we covered. Which is funny because most people consider those two the best. But this movie I actually liked from the very beginning. Like, when I got this as a screener from Doppelganger last, I think, winter, like January or February or something like that, when it was released. And I remember watching it after work one day, and just being like in love with it, man. It's just something about it just clicked with me. I think just the beautiful cinematography at the beginning, the interesting, I think that needs more credit. Like the way that the killer is acting is so different from a lot of giallos. You know what I mean? A lot. It's like finally somebody has done something besides just a regular black glove killer. You know what I mean? It's kind of cool. I think it deserves credit for being different like that. You know, and almost like torturing his victim in this Jigsaw-esque type of way almost. Mm-hmm. And there's some great shots in this film. Like you could literally pick out dozens and dozens of amazing shots in this movie, which just lends so much to the beautiful nature of the film and the opera house and everything. And there's unique and creative angles that I'm like, how the hell did they get an angle there? You know what I mean? It's just cool stuff. So I think that's one of the things that I love most about this movie. And I'm just into it. I'm just into this movie a lot. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10, which I think is like, I hover between a 9 and a 9.5 when I first seen it. But after noticing a few more, a little bit of flaws, I think I took that half point off.
Yeah, this is, it's just so beautiful, man. You know, I had this thing rated at what I had it rated on Letterboxd, but I'm coming up on that.
Oh.
And it's because, you know, I really got thinking about this movie and our character. And I really like the very sadistic, sadist motives of the killings and, you know, what's going on there. Mm-hmm. I think that whole story is actually quite interesting. I think our main character is a lot more complex than she appears to be. You know, for somebody like Jeremy, maybe, you know, first time watch, you probably didn't think about it too much.
Yeah, I mean,
but I think it's quite interesting the way she's acting to what's going on. And then there is a moment in the film where the closest person to her, which is played by Argento's ex, Dario Nicoletti. You know, of course, when I'm going to call it famous killer because it's pretty cool. You know, I just think that, you know, but when she dies, that's kind of the point where Betty realizes that, you know, she's probably not solely, you know, responsible for this shit. And she kind of ventures out. And this is where she wants to, you know, fight back and, you know, and do something about this shit. I really like that because, you know, that was the character. That was basically her mom character, right? You know, the closest character to her. And I like that turning point in the film. It's really interesting. And, but yeah, just one of the most beautiful films. And I'm gonna say it, man. The cinematography in this film is second to none. You know, Suspiria has amazing cinematography. This movie right here is right up there with the best work he's ever done, which I find kind of compelling considering it's, you know, where it is in his career. You know, he didn't hold back anything when he was doing this film, and which we'll get to the other films, you know, after this one. But this is kind of like, wow, like it's almost like he just went for fucking gold on this one. And in my opinion, he hit it, man. There's a lot of great musical cues in this. The score is fantastic. Great kills, like really memorable, great kills. All around awesome film. I'm coming in at a 9 out of 10 because there is a couple parts, like I mentioned before, that I think that are a little bit questionable. I never understood the part where she's singing, and there's a couple other small minor things too, but fantastic film. Very almost underrated in my opinion, because
it is one that you don't hear. You know what's funny? I shared a podcast with you guys. I doubt Ian's got to it and listened to it, but it was basically a group of people talking about Argento's filmography, as well as a writer who was writing an Argento book talking about his filmography. And funny enough, almost every single person, there's like 6 people on there, favorite film, opera. Which is funny because I never heard it. I never hear anybody talk about this as their favorite Argento film. You always hear Tenebrae or Deep Red or Suspiria. So it was kind of interesting to see so many people love opera at the same time where I was finding my love for opera.
It's actually a little bit bizarre to have like 6 people on a show and they're all their favorite film was all opera.
Yeah, I think one person's wasn't, but
I feel like there might have been a little bit of influencing going on there. It was Suspiria, but you like opera too. I'm going to go with opera. But yeah, actually, the end of the movie, I always thought, the scene where the director's like, he's like, run, run, run.
Yeah.
When that musical cue comes in, it should have been Iron Maiden's Run to the Hills. That would have been the perfect music cue of all time. It unfortunately wasn't. It was actually a song that we've heard earlier in the film, but still, it's fun and great film. Highly, highly recommend it, man. To me, whenever I see top 5 or top 10, opera is always in the lower part, the higher part, the 6 to 10 range kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's a better film than people give it credit for.
It's top 3 for me personally.
Yeah, it's definitely a film that I've just grown to appreciate more and more every time I watch it. I really love it. It's great.
Like this one, opera to me is like right up there with Suspiria and Tenebrae is my favorites. I just think that all 3 of those films are great, but opera just doesn't get the love, man. It just doesn't. It's funny because I think that it fits so well in his early filmography in terms of greatness. Like, it doesn't feel like a gap. You know how you would think that, considering it's one that's not as loved, this would be the transition film where it went from this one to his bad films. He's still just as good here as he was ever, and then he gets into his other ones. So it's like weird how there's not this gradual drop. It's just a straight cliff dive. You know what I mean?
You could actually count. It's not real. It's a short film.
Two Evil Eyes.
Yeah, but Two Evil Eyes, because he did the Black Cat segment, which is obviously the Poe story, which is kind of interesting because Fulci did a version of that film too. A virgin. He did a Jeremy of the Black Cats.
Man, that's 2 sexuality jokes. Thanks, I appreciate it.
That's funny. But the Black Cat is, it's okay. It's Two Evil Eyes as a whole is like, it's all right, but that's kind of where I think it was kind of dipping down a little bit.
Well, that film had some trouble because originally it was going to be 5 shorts with 5 directors.
That's right, yeah.
And they tried to get it off the ground so many times, and it just didn't work. So George and Argento just decided to roll with it.
And originally they extended their shorts, right?
Yeah, originally they weren't even going to. I think Romero had a different short that he was going to do. It was. I think he was doing the Pit in the Pendulum or something first, but that just then the Corman title came out around the same time, so they changed it.
It's actually one of my least favorite adaptation stories by Poe. So, Jeremy,
what was your rating, Moods? I didn't even hear it.
Did I not give it 9 out of 10?
Okay,
yeah,
7.
A 7.
Weak.
Yeah.
To be honest,
watch it again.
To be honest, I think that's probably where I would have been when I first watched it too.
Yeah. That's far from my favorite.
I just must be more intelligent than you two then. Because
at this point, it's probably my least favorite.
I also watched.
I'm not a huge fan of
least favorite. Really?
I'm not as of now. I'm not the biggest fan of Phenomena. I think I like it more than that movie, but.
Well, you're not a huge fan in general. Most of your ratings are kind of lower.
Yeah. I like his early stuff.
Like what? Like Four Flies and Cat and Nine Tails?
No, like Plumage, Deep Red.
Tenebrae? Well, Tenebrae's pretty high.
Yeah.
What was your rating on Suspiria?
Tenebrae's...
Suspiria's good. I don't think it's his best movie like a lot of people do. But it's good. I like it.
I think your rating of Plumage is like... Your feelings towards it is like really weird. Like you think to you it's like the greatest in his filmography. I just don't see it.
Yeah, but you don't see it for Deep Red, and that's Moods' favorite. So.
Yeah, but that one I feel like I need to rewatch again. I've seen Plumage multiple times.
Yeah, Deep Red is definitely gonna benefit from that.
Well, at least we can now talk about an absolutely horrible fucking movie. So.
All right.
Really, absolutely horrible.
Oh yeah.
Christopher Rydell, Asia Argento, Frederick Forrest, James Russo, and Piper Laurie. In Dario Argento's maddening thriller, Trauma.
All right, so moving along here, man. Into the 90s. We got some Argento in the 90s.
Argento of the 90s.
1993, the birth of Jeremy. Jeremy was born in 93. With a film simply called Trauma.
According to him, two things that sucks were birthed out of 93.
Can't deny that.
All right. So, synopsis. A young man tries to help a teenage European girl who escaped from a clinic hospital after witnessing the murder of her parents by a serial killer, and they try to find the killer before the killer finds them. Wow, there was a lot of killers in there.
Killer.
This movie fucking sucks. It's literally 1 hour of her escaping, him going to find her leaving again, him going to find her leaving, him going to find her. Oh, she's at a hospital now, and that's when the film actually starts to become somewhat like a movie. But she leaves the hospital, and he has to go find her again. It's fucking stupid, and it drags on for way too fucking long.
You know, I had this weird thought while I was watching this movie, you know, right from the first kill, and I was like, man, the killer's weapon of choice is on the same level as the driller killer's drill. You know? I don't know why.
What do you mean?
It's just because it's like so mechanical, and I don't know. It's weird because it doesn't have power.
I thought it was pretty interesting.
Well, it's got power.
Side story with this little fucking stepfather 3 looking motherfucking kid. It's just,
I mean,
yeah, but that circles around.
You have a power tool basically to kill people. I don't know. It was just something I thought was funny.
Well, this is like, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this like a homemade thing? This isn't a real. What would you use that for?
Oh, it's just like it's like a silver thing that you put around your neck and you push a button and
it's definitely homemade. It's definitely made to cut heads off.
It's like the thing that you catch wild dogs that you put over their heads. But it's like a power version.
Yeah, but it's still powered, and you know you just don't see.
Yeah, no, it's a power tool. Yeah, I get that, but
portable power tool.
I personally actually like this movie.
No,
I thought it was pretty cool. I like the killer is a decapitator. That's kind of fucking cool to me. You know, he's cutting they're cutting heads off, and I dig that. I don't think I've seen a slasher that's a killer slasher killer that sound like the synopsis completely just that's their gimmick is they cut people's heads off.
So this one has actually quite a few recognizable faces in it. We got Brad Dourif in here, plays
a
doctor.
Brad Dourif, when he says like I don't fucking know or something.
Oh, Chucky 100%. Dude, it's Chucky.
Brad Dourif has such a powerful voice, man. He's just so badass. Like I didn't even realize it was him until he said that, and I was like, "Oh, Brad Dourif's right in front of my face."
I've always thought every time I look at Brad Dourif, I always think that his voice shouldn't be coming out of his body.
Mm-hmm. I know,
it's weird.
Like when you watch One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, you wouldn't assume who he goes on to be.
I know, it's so weird. Like it's got a great voice, but of course we've got the classic Piper Laurie's in this film. Of course, you know from Carrie. She plays Asia Argento's mother in this film, actually. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, Dario Argento starring his daughter, Aja.
Little known fact, she actually never watched this film because she heard it was so bad.
It is bad.
She never even watched it.
Again, is it wrong that we see her tits and she's only supposed to be 16?
Yes.
And what about the main actor being a pedophile?
No.
I know. Like, this whole thing is so bizarre to me. And I know we've had this conversation before, and I knew it was going to get brought up again. But yeah, she's playing a 16-year-old in this film. Mm-hmm. And the guy that she ends up hooking up with, her savior, whatever, he's quite obviously an adult. And that's not legal in itself.
Yeah, it is. It's legal here.
What, 16-year-olds?
Yeah, and I believe she just turned 17 because she says she's 16. But I want to say that somebody said that wasn't it her birthday passed during this movie?
No. She was actually 18 in real life.
No. I'm saying in the movie, doesn't somebody call her birthday girl at one point? Or am I pulling that out of nowhere? I could have sworn I heard.
Isn't it a state by state law? And aren't they in
it is a state by state.
So what's the law? So what's the law in Minnesota?
Why is that where this is set?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. No idea. No idea. But
I'm sure he did not fact check though.
Let's just go with the fact that most places it is technically illegal in a lot of places, maybe not in Pennsylvania. But
it actually it's not like 17 is legal in most places actually, with consent of of parents.
Well, for the simple fact that I don't remember.
Hey, Mom, I'm
going to
fuck this guy. Is that okay?
I'm going to say that she's 16. But anyways, it's still a very odd story that like this dude actually does have a girlfriend, but he's like super gung-ho to save this girl that quite obviously has mental problems. I mean, she is escaped from... Yeah, she's an anorexic, basically mental escapee.
Yep, and she sure likes to escape, and this guy sure likes to find her for a whole fucking hour of a movie.
He's
fucking
very
awful.
Very
gung-ho. Awful pacing.
Very, very gung-ho.
It's paced awful.
So age of consent in Italy is 14. I can see why it might not have been a problem.
Yeah,
the age of consent in Italy is 14 with a close-in age exception that allows those age 13 to engage in sexual activity with partners who are under the age of 18, provided the age gap between them is 3 years.
Yeah, but he's like 40.
All right. Yeah, he's quite obviously more than 20 years old. He's definitely older. But, and I mean, obviously, that well, that was these things are written in Italy, but, this is an American production, and it takes place in Minnesota. And,
And you notice that.
Yeah, and quite obviously. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm with Jeremy, man. This movie's like insanely boring too.
Oh, it's horrible. I don't understand what you like it, JP. Even when they get to the hospital and she escapes, it's like, this could be interesting. This is cool. But it doesn't go anywhere. It's just crazy people walking around, and there's one person dead. Tom Savini does the effects, and there's like no good effects in this entire fucking movie.
I mean, I thought that most of the decapitations were fine.
But you don't really see that many. You see them in the shadows.
It's not overly gory, but you see the wire cutting into the skin, which always kind of makes me cringe a little bit. I don't like that.
Yeah, the effects. I
seems like it would be a slow death.
Yeah, they're not really the greatest. I mean, you see more of the aftermath, and there's actually one decapitation in this film. It's just ridiculous, man.
The one where they talk?
Yeah, dude, I think it's in the hotel room.
That's a what the fuck moment in the movie. I'm like, the twist better be this motherfucker's crazy, because this don't make sense.
That literally makes no sense. It's kind of cool to see, and it's odd.
Yeah, it is cool to see. It should have been a dream sequence, man.
Yeah. Like when you see a body laying there and a head's a foot away and it's still kind of trying to talk, that's fucking trippy, but, in reality, the logic makes no sense. But...
I don't know. Obviously the movie opens with Asia about to commit suicide, and then there's this whole like track mark thing, which I thought was cool. This guy clearly, well, it does a little bit. I mean, she's damaged. It's part of our story. It's backstory. It's character development. So yeah, it does. And then obviously the guy says that he was an ex-addict, and that's pretty interesting. And then that comes up later in the film as a little wraparound when he tries to steal the pills. And then I kind of just am, this girl is damaged. I think Asia is great in this movie too. This is really, I haven't seen her act actually a ton, considering how much of a scream queen she's known as. I've only really seen her in Stendhal and then like some of American films that she was in as not a main character. But this is the first time I've actually heard her voice as the actress, in a feature role. So I thought that she was, pretty good in this. And then I kind of just enjoy the wondering what's going on, who this killer is. But following these two, what's that?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I get that. Like, there is obviously a mystery there, but when the reveal happens, don't you question it a little bit? Mm-hmm. Thinking back
how
to
she didn't see
but
it.
Seriously, honestly,
the
bro,
scene,
how many of Giallo's or Argento's films even do you not question what the fuck? Like most of his endings are dumb, honestly.
No, but in this one, in this one, the people that are killed in the scene are deemed dead by the police. So I'm just wondering how this. I don't want to.
Well, I don't know how to fucking get it. She explains that there was. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude.
So let me tell you this. All right.
It makes no sense.
Obviously, there's certain things that happen when you find a body. I watch a lot of Forensic Files. Okay, you guys know this. Whenever people find a body, they try to identify it. Then, if they can't identify it, they have to do like DNA stuff. But that takes a while to get back. That takes a while to actually find out in terms of, you know, the testing that needs to be done. So, you know, you kind of lead with this.
I know, I get that. I completely 100% understand where you're coming from, but the fact of the matter is, in the movie, they state that she is dead.
Yes,
and
well, there's a body.
Yeah.
No.
There is. She says it in the movie. There's a body without a head. Mm-hmm. And that's why they thought what they thought.
But they didn't find her head.
I know, because he keeps them.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying. I'm trying to remain spoiler free. I thought this one actually made more sense than some of his other ones. I'm trying to think of a way
of saying it, but it's like, even to state, or like even have the fuck I can't do this without spoiling everything. It's like so hard, man.
I thought the reveal was cool when Aja remembers back. I kind of got like a bird with the crystal plumage moment where you think you see something, but you don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah. I mean, the actual motives behind the killings it's all right. It makes it's extreme.
Most of these are, though. Let's be real.
But I think this one is like really extreme.
It's like Tenebrae isn't kind of extreme.
Not like this one, though.
This one's a little, I don't know.
I mean, all of them are ridiculous. I mean, half the time with these movies, I roll my eyes at the ends. Honestly, I do, because I just feel like one thing about Italian horror films is their twists aren't that good. Like a Hitchcock twist, or like they just don't have it, man. It's just it doesn't feel the same like that you get from like a Saw or something like that. It's just like usually convoluted. You know, most of them are. Most of them definitely are convoluted. And I think that this one in particular, I was expecting it to be a lot worse, honestly. I knew that the films dropped in quality somewhere around this part. You guys know that I like Stendhal, or I did like Stendhal. We'll talk about it.
This movie to me, man. Yeah, and obviously I don't want to like directly compare it to, but it's hard not to notice that, you know, Argento's aesthetic is not here. I mean, this is an American production. Obviously, we're not getting that visual of like Italy and, you know, that cool architecture.
It's bland. And shit like that.
It's very bland, and it's so dull. You know, and it feels like this movie just lacked in production and in direction at times too. It feels like Argento. It feels like a throwaway film to me, man.
It's definitely different from his his visual flair. And from what I was listening to from that director, from the writer and stuff, when Argento came to America, this was his first American production, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He did intentionally switch his style up a little bit to be more to be a little bit different, and also music wise, I did hear that the producers actually didn't want a lot of like the Goblin and stuff like that Argento, the Claudio Simonetti and stuff.
Yeah, and then instead what they did is they used fucking basically catalog stuff. Like the soundtrack is taken straight out of a fucking library, right? It's just library music. So
it does feel it feels different, but I almost think that it's like it feels kind of cool that it's different, because it shows that Argento can adapt to an American style.
It's different in a bad way.
I I agree, man. I think it's different in a bad way. Like, it does feel like more American for sure. And starting with the story of the film, it's that in-house library music that it's very typical 90s.
Different. I'm not saying that's
it's good. Like everything good about him. There's no awesome cinematography. There's no the lighting.
I mean, well, the cinematography is good in this movie. It's definitely.
I don't think so.
It's not opera good.
But it's not any of his films.
Well,
good.
The story doesn't allow it to be that great either. There's a lot of kind of down moments in this film. There's just a lot of. Just a lot of dialogues. There's not a lot of moments to have great cinematography. There really isn't. And, you know, it's a pretty low function film. I don't know, man. This one just, it's so bland to me on all levels. I don't find the pacing is terrible, man. I find the kills, I can't believe that Tom Savini's effects are in this film. It's just, it's insane to me. It really is insane to me. Although I did like the scene where, you know, where all the heads are revealed. That scene is funny as hell.
The thing about it being a Tom Savini effects film, like, he's only going to do effects that are written into the film. You know what I mean? He's not going to be doing shit that's not there. So if there's no effects scenes, then
of course,
what the fuck's he going to do?
Well, I get that. But I mean, it's still, I'm talking about even filming the kills and shit. They're not that great, you know?
Yeah, no, there's not. Well, I mean,
there's more cut
really
than they're actually showing in this. It's, you know, it is like the weapon is cool.
Is this fully uncut? Do we know? Do we know if there's another version of this?
This is all I know. As far as I know, this is the uncut version. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean the weapon is cool and the motives are extreme and kind of funny. There's a couple scenes here and there, but I mean overall, man, it's just there's not a lot of redeemable qualities about this movie for myself.
I liked it.
I think I think the pacing is atrocious. I agree with Jeremy, man. That's something I have written down. I'm just like, it's very slowly paced.
I find it hard to watch at all, man. I can see where you're coming. It's not the most. It's definitely not. It's one. Like this is right now probably the bottom of my Argento.
I think one of the most interesting facts about this movie is that the character of Asia Argento is based on her stepsister.
Who was an anorexic girl.
She was an anorexic girl who actually died right after the making of this movie. She got killed in like a bike accident or some shit. And you can see her. And I actually knew this, and I forgot when I was watching the movie, and then the girl dancing in the credits. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah, that's her half-sister. And she looks just like her. You know, just a really skinny version of her, but she ended up dying right after this. But I think that's kind of a cool little factoid about the movie. But
here's a little bit of
I just don't think they explored the story enough. You know, like... You know, with her anorexia, I just don't think things
and the drugs.
Yeah, I don't. I think a lot. I think there's a lot more.
Yeah, that would have been cooler to kind of delve into that a little bit, but I feel like it's it's not really about that.
It's not. But I still think even with the kills,
you're just supposed to be setting up that this person is damaged.
She's the main character, though.
Exactly. So
you should have at least something.
You do have at least something. What does that mean? You should have at least something. There is at least something.
Yeah, but 1 or 2 words and that's it. They never talk about it again.
But you see her throw up multiple times. You see
I'm
her
talking about the drug stuff.
You see that she had track marks. That what you're setting up is she's a damaged person. That is something. I don't understand what you mean about you should show at least something. Explain your point.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? That is at least something. What you should be saying is, I wish there was a lot more, not at least something. No?
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying.
The revelation of the killer only striking when it's raining, I thought was actually kind of cheesy too.
It's kind of silly, but whatever. It's cool.
Cheesy though, man. Like
that's like.
Wasn't there a Japanese movie you watched that the killer only does that during the rain? Wasn't that Memory of a Murder? Whatever the fuck that movie's called.
I'm sure it's been done before. It doesn't seem like it's that hard to come up with something like that. But it's just like the way they came up with it, though, in the film actually made me laugh out loud. I was like, okay, wow.
It's just kind of one of those gimmick things that, you're trying to make your giallo killer slasher killer cool, and it's like, well, what can his gimmick be? And it's like, he only does his killing in the rain.
It's funny when
isn't it funny because they make like the killer's like, oh shit, I got to kill this person because she's in the way, but it's not raining.
Yeah,
I know what to do. I'll light this newspaper on fire and make the sprinkler go off.
It's funny when you get exactly right when you get the reveal too, and you think back to the rain, you're like, what does that even have to do with anything?
Yeah, it's completely artificial.
It totally is artificial. It's insane. It's actually pretty funny. But yeah. The fucking fire. Oh man, dude, or the setting off the water system.
So,
dude, that's laughable.
Dude, so when Asia goes over to his house and then why does she have her boobs taped up? What's up with that?
Don't know.
I didn't get that.
I thought maybe somebody had
cut her nipples.
An explanation for that.
It was just like normally that happens when you're trying to transition into a boy or something, right?
Yeah, I guess.
You tape down your boobs.
I guess. I don't know. I've never done that
before. Unless
Jeremy, can you answer that question?
That's what she wasn't doing, and that's some sort of brawl that I'm.
Maybe it's an anorexia thing.
Maybe.
Oh, that's a good point.
It as fat, right? Yeah, that actually makes sense. Good shit.
Yeah, she's flattening him out for sure. But okay, explain to me why that scene was needed, though. I mean,
so you could because
so you see her naked.
Yeah, but
I know why it's needed for us, but I meant like when you're writing the script and like this is Argento's movie, right? And like,
listen. From the get-go, I thought it was weird. People try to explain it. It's just weird, dude. There's something wrong with it. It's not right. I know people have said, well, he just sees her as an actor. No, it's weird, dude. You don't put your daughter naked in your movies. You just don't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's just like that scene right there isn't needed. You could go on with the movie and have a final cut without that scene. I mean, I would prefer it that it's there because it's one of the best scenes in the movie.
It's the same thing.
But
that one makes a little more sense why she's somewhat naked.
But she doesn't even show her. But she doesn't show her tits in Stendhal.
Yeah, she does on the bed.
Yeah, barely.
Yeah, well, it's not like fucking this. This is so blatant.
Yeah. Well, this is clearly just to have titties in a movie.
Yeah, well, it's that whole American thing, right?
But then again, Jeremy did bring up a good point, though. Like, it does show that. I mean, technically, you don't have to see her boobs in order to showcase that. She could have did it from behind.
Well, he came up with an explanation for what she did. It's not actually. It's still kind of pointless. Like, we don't need to. We know that she's skinny.
Well, it's more of that character development of her anorexia. So
it gets it's a tiny bit of insight into her mind. Like, okay, yeah, and that's what anorexics do, man. They think they're fat, so tape your tits and make you look skinny.
Yeah,
it makes sense. But
yeah, but no, I'm with you. I've always said from day one, it's weird, dude. Like, that you're not gonna justify it to me. I think it's weird. I think a lot of people think it's weird. Does that mean that he makes bad movies or anything? Does that mean that he wants to have sex with his daughter? Not necessarily, but it's weird.
First time I watched this movie years and years ago, I didn't know about this scene.
Yeah.
And I was like watching, I was like, the fuck just what? That's his daughter, dude. I was so like, what the hell did just happen, man?
Yeah.
It's weird, man. It's still, and all these years later, it's still,
but I will tell you one thing. After I seen that happen, the first thing I did after the movie went over is I went back and rewatched that scene. Just saying. Because it kind of caught me off guard and I didn't get a good look. So I was like, hey, I got to go back. I'm like, I have to remember to go back there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Aja's good looking, man. She's definitely getting older now, but in this movie, she's very pretty.
She was 18, so,
Yeah. But there's a little bit of trivia here. Character's death was much more violent in the shooting script. The wire was supposed to cut through her mouth before splitting her head in half, not through the neck. Tom Savini has also claimed Dario Argento wanted to shoot it from inside of Laurie's mouth, so he asked to work on an oversized mouth model in order to place the camera. But after Argento came up with the idea of the head saying Nicholas, the set piece was scratched out. Damn it, Argento. That was not the better idea.
No, that was not the better idea.
that was not the better idea, Argento. Like, you definitely fucked up that one.
Wow.
So yeah, I like Jeremy is right that it is kind of, it feels like a sidestep sometimes, but it does come back around. I like seeing the kid kind of living next door to the killer type thing. I thought that was kind of cool. However, I hate that him being hit, how they dispatched the killer at the end. I thought it was a little weak.
Yeah, it is insanely weak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ratings.
But I just like the whole thing that, like, the way they disclose, or with the way the kid finds the weapon in that scene there, what the fuck is he doing anyways? Like, is he just a fucking kid that's willing to, like, go into someone else's house and...
He had to chase his lizard, bro.
Yeah, I know, but seriously, like, are you, like... I'm not that person. My shit went into someone's house and be like, okay, fuck, I guess I'll wait till they get home and, I'm not gonna break into someone's house and I don't know, it just seems fun.
JP would.
No comment.
I could probably just do without it until I do the right thing, I guess. I don't know, I'm like that, but... I just thought it was funny, he just jumps in there. And then dumbass kid... He wasn't even close to getting it on that chair. Really? He stands on the chair and he's like reaching for it and shit. He's like 4 feet away. I mean, come on, man. Like, give me a break. What an idiot.
Yeah. Overall, though, man, I seem to think that, and I heard Dave say this, and this is why I've been testing this theory. He said that Argento's his favorite director because he's the most consistent. And, his argument is that he's not made a film under a 5.5, I think. I think that most people disagree with like Dracula and stuff, but thus far, I'd agree with him. I think that Dario Argento is really goddamn consistent when it comes to making movies. And this, like, yeah, because it's an Argento, you expect so much more. But I think, you know, as just a regular movie, like, it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. I was entertained.
It's not like horribly made, but you can just tell that there's so many things that stick out, you know, the very dullness of the film, the really bad music in it. But that's
to an Argento movie, though. It would not be considered dull if it was just a movie you've seen.
Yes,
if it's just a movie
it has horrible pacing and it's stupid.
Yeah, but for somebody that's known for his very kind of Argento aesthetic, you know, it's something you notice right away. And I'm a visual person, you know that.
Maybe
like,
it's social commentary. He's saying American films are dull.
maybe, but I honestly think the ride to the killer's reveal is pretty boring. Like the interactions and stuff are pretty lame. Like with, you know, Argento's I guess boyfriend and, you know, his relationship with his girlfriend. Like that whole thing is just like, fuck, what? I don't know, man. It's not exciting. There's really not a lot of excitement in this film, which is kind of a problem.
Just the hospital.
How did you guys watch this? Do you have DVDs?
Yes,
I got the Blu-ray rip.
I have the original Anchor Bay DVD.
Okay, so I did look up a little bit of stuff. Apparently, there is a version that exists that is has 7 minutes of footage that aren't cut or something.
Well, guarantee that's going to bring up my rating at least 6 points.
So I think the Italian DVD has the full uncut version. But I'm reading some of the stuff. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of gore. It seems mostly like dialogue heavy, but there is some gore that was cut. And apparently the UK version was cut by 7 seconds as well.
Ooh, 7 seconds.
See, right here, it says on the back of this,
but dude, you say, 7 seconds? 7 seconds when it comes to gore can be an entire gore shot, like entire kill. You know what I mean? So you never know.
So it says right here on the back of this, it says, from its startling opening murders to its horrific final twist, experience one of Dario Argento's most surprising films as you witness all the uncensored horror of trauma.
Well, is that saying it's the film's uncensored, or is that saying, like, you know, is that part of this? The synopsis, essentially, you know what I mean?
I think it's, you know, this is probably there's probably other versions out there, but this might be the Argento cut of the film. You know, like how there's a lot of films out there that just kind of incorporate, I don't know where the fuck these people get the footage from sometimes, but, you know, they make their ways around and all of a sudden there's like longer cuts. But I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on Trauma. It does say uncensored, so I take it for what it is. So,
all right, we could do ratings now.
Oh, is it my go? Did I go first?
Yeah.
Okay. It's, you know, I pretty much said what I had to say about it. It's not by any means even close to a favorite of mine by Argento. It's a very disappointing film, especially watching Opera and then watching this right after. I mean, I don't want to put that direct comparison. I try not to do that, but it's very hard not to notice that it doesn't have that Argento-ness to it. And I find it that I can get past that, but the problem is that the ride to the reveal in this film I find very tedious and kind of boring, and that's not a good thing. I generally don't get bored in Argento films whatsoever. It does lack in, you know, kind of those meaty scenes, good cinematography and things like that. Music kills me in this, though. It's so house library music that it just drives me. They couldn't even fucking splurge for something decent, you know, like an original score. I mean, we've heard this music in 100 different films. We literally have, and that's a problem for me. I notice shit like that because I'm a big music guy. Unlike the next movie, which actually is probably the best thing about the movie is the music, but which is done by Morricone, which is cool because he went back and grabbed, you know, somebody who fucking does good scores and shit. I digress. Trauma is essentially a film that bores me to death. That's not a good thing. 5.5 out of 10. It's not a horrible movie. It's watchable. But there's a lot of problems with just the end product for me. So, I don't think
What did you say it was?
At 5.5. I don't think it's a below average movie. You know, it still has its moments and stuff, but it's nowhere near anything that is top notch.
Yeah. Jeremy?
I give it a 4.5. It's below average for me. I really don't find anything appealing about it.
Okay, so I enjoyed the buddy nature of these two trying to, solve the mystery and stuff like that. I thought that, it is definitely bland in terms of like visuals and lighting and stuff like that for an Argento film, but it looks like a regular movie to me. So I didn't.
But
that
even
didn't
the
really
dialogue is really bland in this movie. Like a lot of the.
See, I was into the movie. So the dialogue to me was just it's them talking about what's going on. It's them solving the mystery. It's them talking about past and present and stuff like that. So I didn't really think I didn't even notice the dialogue. Essentially, you know what I mean. So.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean that I was just into it, I guess. It's kind of it's not that good. Like it's not a great mystery or anything like that. It's not fantastic, but I don't think most of his films are when it comes to the reveals. Granted, some of those movies have better, in between, and yeah, all of them do actually. It's a better. Every movie we've covered so far is better than this one. But I still thought it was all right. It was a cool movie. I enjoyed Aja's performance, and I actually liked the relationship that was going on between these two. I thought that it started off and built, and I thought it was good development. I liked that the kid was living next door to the killer. I liked the killer. I liked how the killer was decapitating fools. That was cool to me. That was probably the best part of the movie is that they collected heads and stuff like that. That's neat. The tool, weird but kind of cool. Reminded me of like one of those like wire like things that people would wrap people's necks around, it's
almost like a cheese cutter.
No, it's like what you put around a dog. Where like
there is a moment I actually did forget, but there is a moment in the film. I think that they say something on the lines of.
What do you do to your dogs?
Not like a dog, like when animal control comes. Or
they're
try
a
to catch
lot
a wild
thicker
animal.
than this.
They're
like
decapitate
a lot
the dogs.
thicker than this. He's just decapitating dogs.
I think there's a moment in the film where they talk about how the heads carry the soul.
Yeah, they do.
But I feel like it just didn't go. I would have, like to have seen that explored a lot more.
Yeah.
Just because that's kind of a cool idea in general. Like, I mean, it makes kind of sense because the souls go, enter through the eyes and shit like that. But if you take the head, you get the whole thing. Kind of cool. But
so yeah, I don't think it's great. It's not a great movie, but I do like it. And I gave it a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay. Wow.
Dario and his beautiful daughter Aja join forces on the set of their latest movie, Stendhal Syndrome. Set in Florence's largest art gallery, it's just an ordinary tale of a girl who faints every time she sees a masterpiece. But Dario hasn't just got Renaissance culture in mind.
It's a film about female people, about rape, about violence, about art, dangerous art.
Which more or less sums up the gruesome content of his storyline.
All right, so moving to the year 1996, which we have done extensive coverage on this year. Go back and check out episode Fill in the Number, because I don't remember what it is. I'm terrible at 22 Shots trivia. Hint, hint. And so 1996 with the Stendhal Syndrome. Of course, also starring...
Stendhal Syndrome.
Stendhal Syndrome, of course, also starring his daughter, Aja Argento. Music by Moni Morricone.
My number 7.
Yeah,
favorite horror film of 1996.
This one didn't crack my top 10. I said crap.
Didn't crap.
That was funny. What an appropriate lip fuck there. Music by Moni Morricone. That's amazing. That was pretty cool. But this, it's funny. Like when you watch these movies back to back, and it's like opera, then Trauma like falls right off, and then Stendhal. It has that Argento feel to it. Set in Italy. It has the visuals. It's still a really, really dull film. And that's one thing about the Stendhal Syndrome that's always kind of surprised me is that, it's back in Italy and, shot in that, but it doesn't have that Argento aesthetic to it.
I think this film's it's so relevant, especially today, compared to maybe when you last watched it, but like watching this movie today with what's happening in at least our country, I'm not going to say the fucking stupid ass Me Too movement, but it's a pretty relevant movie.
What do you mean you're not going to say? That's what you're saying, right? You're talking about the Me Too movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty relevant today, to be honest with you.
I don't even know what the Me Too. What the fuck is the Me Too thing?
It's about people getting raped, yo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
Aja included.
Okay. For some reason, I was thinking about the actual Stendhal Syndrome and shit, which is still to me one of the most bizarre syndromes of all time.
Yeah,
this shit is
it's kind of interesting, man.
It really is as a syndrome, and like to explore that. But let's get into the synopsis. A young policewoman slowly goes insane while tracking down an elusive serial rapist / killer through Italy when herself becomes a victim of the brutal man's obsession.
Dude, I like this movie because of how different it is from the rest of Argento's catalog. Like the way that I see this movie.
Just story. What do you mean by different? Like story wise?
Story-wise,
yeah,
it's
the
pretty
story's
experimental.
Completely different. It's one, you have that weirdo, like almost art house Stendhal aspect of it, the Stendhal Syndrome, which does play a part in this movie. Well, it's not just a gimmick title.
It actually plays the whole part in the movie, essentially, because they talk about how the Stendhal Syndrome not only makes you, kind of hallucinate to visual art and stuff like that, but it actually changes your personality, which is what we get in this entire movie is the deconstruction of Aja's character going from her policewoman state to being raped, which, you can incorporate, the mentality change of being raped, but it's actually not because of her being raped. It's because
it is though, and it isn't. It isn't.
What
but it is it's cool that it's multiple things.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not just one thing.
Exactly. It's the rape and it's the combination of the Stendhal Syndrome, which actually is altering her personality, which we see, change throughout the film. And then obviously towards the end, it gets, peaks out, right?
This film has more story than most of Argento's films. It actually has some depth to it, and it's a character study for one, which I don't know if he's necessarily done.
It totally is a character
It's a rape revenge film, which is kind of cool because I don't think he's done that.
Yeah,
it's a film about this, sort of real life syndrome thing. And one thing that I've never heard anybody say about it.
It's an odd rape revenge film in structure.
Right? This is something that nobody said anything about, and this might spoil something. So I'm so sorry, but I have to say it. This is a movie, like, take all of his other movies, like especially the giallos, and imagine if you spent all the time with a specific person in those films instead of just the reveals and the ends and stuff like that. That's kind of what this movie is. It's almost a prequel to a giallo. You know how there's usually some kind of interesting backstory? That's kind of what this is.
Yeah, I
haven't heard anybody say that.
I get that.
That's how after watching it like 3 or 4 times now, I kind of see it as that.
So with
I was like confused. Like, I think the weakest part of this movie is like the backstory with her and her job. I just didn't believe it that much with
like how
she was a detective.
Well, it's impossible. Okay, it's impossible because they never disclose her age in this film, but in real life, she's 21.
Yeah.
This is why I'm glad I listened to the commentary, because that's one of the things that the guy points out in the thing.
Well, I think I said this before.
In America, you would never see a police officer, a detective this young.
Never.
But in Italy, it happens all the time, apparently.
See, that's so interesting because obviously they have a different structure within their force, but that's insane to me because generally detectives in North America is given to people with a lot of experience.
A lot of credentials.
They work themselves up from street cops. They do this, they do that, and then detective is top of the line kind of thing. And you get there through experience, and they want the experienced people because that's what solving crime is all about.
So apparently, Dario Argento told this to him. That in Italy, both women and young women can climb the ranks very fast.
So isn't that interesting coming from a North American standpoint here? How we're so confused and how it's kind of it's
Norm.
it's a negative to me. I'm like, it's bullshit because
Yeah.
she would never be in this job. But knowing this, I mean, now I'm just confused.
Yeah, but so yeah, that was kind of interesting that, because I had thought that too. It's just like she's just too young to be playing this type of character. But knowing that in Italy it's just culturally different, so it might make more sense and it might not be as off-putting. Now another thing that I dig about this movie is, and honestly, you guys, people's biggest criticism of this film is that it's too long, and I do agree. It could be trimmed. I just don't know where exactly to trim it, because it's not narratively structured like a 3-act story like typically. It's almost like it's 2 halves in a way. It's like before the killer dies and after the killer dies.
Because it's basically all character development with her. You're following. Yeah, I get that too, but
I think that the villain is one of the strongest in an Argento movie too. This guy's really despicable, and I like his look. He just looks like a douchebag with his blonde hair and his
the 90s douchebag.
Yeah, and he's like all like ripped and like he's tan and buff, so it makes him just look like a complete, like that's what you would think of as a womanizer, right? Like this is your quintessential douchebag, rapist.
I find it quite interesting too the way Argento utilized the killer in this film. Also, there is scenes where I think we get to see his face, and then there's a scene after where they use a POV shot. And then we get to see his face again. I'm like thinking to myself, we already seen what he looks like. Like, what's the point of using the POV? Maybe it's just that's just what you do in these type of films. I don't know, but I could never figure that out. Why he did that? Use a POV after we've seen his face, because there's no need to. It's not like you're.
I mean, maybe it's just to show that he's. I don't know.
It's weird, right?
It's supposed to put you in his mindset or like what he's saying. I don't know.
And it's totally not one of those scenes though. It's literally like him kind of walking down the street type thing, and I'm like, that's so strange. Why you would shoot it like that? But
he kind of takes a page out of Opera's book, where the rapist has like a little bit of a fascination with Aja, and he is purposely allowing her to escape. Also, the very first time I seen this, I thought it was really wonky how the two like met, and like how it like he's just like at this art gallery, and then he like
he explains. They explain that.
It's actually all explained.
It is explained.
Not only is it explained in dialogue, but you might wonder like how would he put her in a taxi? How would he know where her hotel is? Well, when she has her bag and stuff, she has like a key or something to that hotel in her bag. Yeah. So it actually, I never knew that it was like that explained.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little wonky, but it actually does make sense how all this
Well, for the
down.
first like 3/4 of the film, you would be thinking it's wonky, but then it's explained.
Yeah. Well, they explain it a lot later than you normally would get that exposition.
Exactly.
So that's a little bit different. I think that there's a lot of
there's a lot of structural.
Obviously, it's toned down. The visuals are toned down in this film, but I do think there's a lot of cool artsy stuff, like the graffiti in the rape room. You know what I mean? Where all there's all this graffiti on the wall.
I honestly feel like I love that shit. I'm a huge graph fan. I always felt like that was almost like a substitute for not having the elusive lighting and technical lights that he uses.
Didn't Trauma release this movie back?
Yes,
they did.
And I was going to talk
it's
about
a cut
that
version,
too.
though. It's a cut version.
Yeah. So Argento said that he wanted to make like a more drawn out, like depressing look for this film instead of.
Well, he definitely accomplished that.
But instead of like, because the subject matter of rape and stuff like that, and not so much visual flair, but more of like a washed out look. Like even specifically in Rome, shooting things that looked great and washed out and things like that.
Yeah.
The writer talked about that, or the commentary talked about that a little bit. But the trauma thing. So apparently, whenever Argento made this movie, Trauma, offered him a big deal for this movie, like a wide theatrical release, like all this stuff. And when Lloyd, apparently
he was being Lloyd,
announced like, we signed Trauma, you know, like how he gets all excited. He's like, we signed Dario Argento, like we got the master of horror, you know, the Italian Hitchcock. Like we got Dario Argento coming to Trauma, you know, really excited and stuff. Like apparently just completely dropped the ball, and Argento was apparently super pissed, and it actually just like really discouraged him in making films in America anymore. He already had a bad experience with the way Trauma was handled apparently, and Stendhal even made it 10 times worse.
Why? What happened?
So what actually? Yeah,
They didn't. It was like
was it the DVD rights or something?
It was a very limited release, which was not what he was promised. The DVD that was put out apparently was not only cut, but the transfer was like god awful. Moots, you own it?
No, I actually don't own that, but I've heard
like
the same
apparently he was completely insulted by the transfer on the DVD, and it was just a bad deal altogether. Apparently he was like pissed.
I don't get the cut though. Why is it cut though?
Right,
because it says on the front cover, it says the director's cut.
Yeah, well, so
I doubt that.
There's actually a lot of Trauma releases that say director's cut, and they're cut to shit. Like, actually, perfect example. Vinegar Syndrome just released the good version of Death by Temptation, but the original Trauma DVD, and it has a full intro. You know, Death by Temptation, the unrated director's cut, blah blah blah. You know, Kaufman's whole spiel. I shit you not, it's like a TV cut. The fucking swear words are beeped out. I'm pretty sure the director didn't intend to have his fucking swear words censored out.
I couldn't imagine that. You know,
it's so bad.
Like, you know what? I'm really regretting using the F word 3 times. Maybe we should only use it 2. Can you put a beep over this? You know. So also another little behind the scenes thing here. Jeremy had this question. Luckily, we got an answer through the commentary. The track, right? Is it English? Is it Italian? Was it filmed in English? Was it filmed in Italian? What's the deal with it? Which version did you guys watch?
Italian.
English. It's shot.
I watched English too.
Yeah, it's shot in English.
It's shot in English.
Yeah,
but it's dubbed in English and Italian.
Yeah.
So the original audio track doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's dubbed, and apparently,
yeah, that's normal.
Asia was so mad about that she was so pissed at Argento because she thought that she gave an amazing performance in this film, specifically through her dialogue, and they got a different actress to dub her.
See, I don't get that. Like, why wouldn't Dario just get Aja to dub her own voice?
Yeah. Well, because for whatever reason, he didn't want the like sexy, smoky voice that Aja has, and wanted something different. But apparently, she was really pissed about that, which I would too.
I mean, I'd be.
She's gonna have to put it up. It's her daddy.
Yeah, man. Stendhal Syndrome. I really like the idea behind this movie. The story to me is a little bit clunky. I wish it had more visual developments with hallucinations and things like that, because you get one right in the beginning of the film that
I know, but
a very strange scene where she kisses this fucking like face fish.
Dude, I remember in 1996 when we were prepping for that show, I picked up the original Blue Underground release and I popped it in, and that's one of the first things you see. I thought this movie was going to be absolutely atrocious. I was like, I even remember messaging you guys. I was like, well, this didn't start off too good, this CGI fish. Yeah. But yeah, some very bad CG in this one.
Oh yeah.
There's actually a kill. There's a kill that's actually a good kill and gets stupefied by some CGI of the woman being shot. Good entrance on that shot.
Yeah, there's
weird CGI inside shot though.
Very strange. I don't know why Argento thought this was a good idea, but there's a scene where she takes some pills. And
it's up there with Gozu. It's up there with Gozu. It's like bad.
The most bizarre choice. You don't need to show that. I don't know why they did that. It adds a comedic effect to it. It's really bad. And then of course there is this shot with the CG blood. Oh my god. Remember peeps, this is 1996. And then here, one last one. There's a scene where a painting kind of melts off the wall. Oh my god.
It's horrible. And she like steps into it.
It's really bad.
1 second. Let me just throw this out there as a potential, right? So 1996, set the tone. you don't know much about CGI. All of a sudden you find out, hey, you can do stuff that you couldn't do before.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's interesting. What if we did a shot of like the pills like in her mouth, in her throat? Like that's something that you could never do before. Okay, well, obviously he doesn't know what it's going to look like before he writes it. So, I mean, I could kind of see. I mean, obviously, I would cut it out.
But but that's the thing. I mean, if he's doing final edit, I mean, fuck, I'd be like, dude, that don't look good. Let's take that shit. And we would never know the difference, man.
Yeah. But one thing that's cool about this actually is the first ever Italian production to utilize CGI. That's another little fact.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if Lloyd's cut out the CGI.
Maybe
that would actually be a good thing, but.
But yeah, man, the movie kind of gives you this impression at the beginning that we're going to get a very kind of hallucinogenic type character study, but it really doesn't go that way at all. You know, it's more about her in
inner demons. And...
Yeah, in the actual reality and her demon and her change in personality throughout the film. It's structured very strange too, because JP mentioned that it could be classified as a rape revenge film, and that's true because her character is raped by this guy and lets her go, and he's really kind of fucking like this guy's very sadistic and shit.
Yeah, he takes her the first time he rapes her. His idea of a second date is to take her to watch him rape another girl and murder her in front of her.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, so he's totally just fucking with, and then of course she exacts some revenge and shit. And like this scene happens at like the midway point in the movie. It's very strange. It's very strange.
Then he goes in the river and you think he's.
And actually, my favorite scene in the whole movie is the scene with Dario Argento's character. And when she fights him off, she fucking kicks some serious ass in that. I wish there was more
she
shit like that in
breaks his spine and by like hitting him in the back of the neck. Mm-hmm. Which that guy was super dead as fuck, I think. But I like the idea that you don't. I love how you don't know if he's back because it's the whole.
I knew all along it was.
I've never had the impression that he was back, but
I mean, obvious, like because that would be too obvious for like that would it would be.
He was paralyzed and he's like down in the river. It's like that motherfucker's dead. Yeah,
well, everybody would assume that. That's why you would do it that way. You know what I mean? So
I mean, she really. She stabs him in the neck, fucking pokes out his eye, shoots him.
Like the reason you don't think that he's back is because that would be kind of dumb if he was, you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't make sense.
Well, it's also given the scene that they show, like when she kicks him over the cliff into that insanely fast moving river. Like there's no way he's living through that. This is fucking stupid.
Yeah. So it wouldn't make sense. But I think that it's cool for the characters around her to not know if he's back.
But don't you think
herself to not know if he's back?
I guess like if you have that
because they don't find a body,
that complication. I mean? Yeah, if you're really fighting with that part of the movie, right? Like, oh, is he around, whatever. But I mean, if you put yourself in the spot where he's dead, right? So how are you perceiving the film now? Are you assuming that where the film goes, is that what you're assuming is going to happen? Because I think it's fairly obvious what's happening here because the way Argento writes her character, you could.
I mean, I think like the end when he's like, he's inside of me or his soul's inside of me. I was like, that's fucking retarded. I'm sorry.
There's all these minor developments, right? Like, when she cuts her hair and makes herself kind of look like a boy, and the scene where she fucking when she dry humps her boyfriend, dude, I fucking laugh so hard at that shit.
Oh, dude,
that scene is so fucking funny to me, dude. I actually burst out laughing.
But it's also like. Man, her boyfriend is a wimp.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But it's progression. It's the progression of her personality changing, right? And I like those are the things I do like.
It's a multitude of things. Like at first, it's just I want to be like defeminized because I don't want to seem attractive to any males because I am scared of males now. Yeah. And then it becomes more of a brutalization towards males whenever she's boxing and stuff like that,
giving herself a boycott.
It's and then it's a transition into.
They literally poke fun of her in the film too with her family and shit. Like, you look like a boy.
her brothers.
I actually had that moment. My sister way back in the day did that too. She cut her hair like boy head, and she comes in the house. She's all proud of her hair, and I was like, "Oh, what's with the boy head?" And she wouldn't talk to me for like a year. It was pretty funny. Anyways.
That's a heavy grudge.
Yeah,
and
she's like
so
that.
it's this long transition to this character, and I think that this movie's pretty well done with most of that stuff. I think honestly the biggest complaint about this movie is that it's just too long. But again, I don't really know what to cut. So
yeah, you know what, man?
Do you have any recommendations for what to trim?
I don't know.
I feel like you need most everything, but see, that's a very important scene though, because it explains the Stendhal thing in the first meeting.
But he's in like multiple scenes though. It's like,
but every scene that he's go ahead and watch again. Every scene he's in is important to the plot. So it's like, what do you cut? Maybe some of the boxing stuff, but again, that's character development to that character and that transition. It's
well, you know, to be honest, that could be cut though.
Because I intentionally paid attention to that this time. What, the boxing?
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been trimmed, I guess.
But we have enough. I mean, we get the point of what's happening here.
But see, then you run into a thing with like the last movie where it's like, oh, they didn't show enough of the addiction and stuff like that. So
there's not that much crazy stuff.
You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is a little bit different though, because we're getting so much character development that you could probably trim it down a tad bit. I mean,
that's what he's asking you.
I know it runs 2 hours. I mean, I would have to really kind of think about it, but
I agree that you could probably trim it down, but could you trim it down much? Like, could you really think of cutting 15 minutes out of this movie? Where do you find 15 minutes at? You know what I mean? That's a lot of minutes to cut, and that would only get it down to 145. Could you imagine cutting a half hour out of this movie? I say it's impossible to get the same effect.
Mm-hmm. What do you feel about the scene at the art museum, at the art, I guess museum or whatever, where
the opening scene?
No,
you know that museum's like a super famous museum that the only filmmaker ever allowed the film in there was Argento.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He was respected so much.
He's the maestro there. Yeah. No, the scene where her boyfriend gets killed.
Oh. Yeah. The new guy that she meets.
Yes, the new guy. But that the way that scene develops and what the reveal is of it.
It's shot nice.
It is, but it doesn't make a lot of logical sense though.
How so?
How she gets out of the building without being noticed after all that shit goes down?
Right?
Yeah, I guess
they don't really show you. That's the problem. They don't really show you.
That's what I'm saying. They don't show anything. But the point is that the security guard knows she's there, and he knows he's there. Something happens, he doesn't. They don't show him seeing her. Like, I mean, there's a problem there.
I would have to rewatch it again to see if it doesn't.
It was actually one of my biggest complaints last time I watched the movie.
I just assumed that it's like really big and stuff. Like, it's a really big museum. I don't know the layout of it. They don't show you the layout of it, so I think because they don't want the audience to straight up know that it was. So well, I don't know.
Of course, but I meant just logically, like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that she would be. I don't know.
Yeah,
but you get what
I would
I'm
have
saying.
to watch it again to really scrutinize it. But I do remember thinking about that.
I just remember that was one of my biggest concerns with the film, prepping for the 96 show too. I was like, what the fuck's at this scene? I just think this movie's like super interesting for an Argento. It's just different. I don't know. I dig it. I do, man. I think the idea behind the movie's really good. If it's executed properly, I don't know. I think it's a long.
Okay. I've only seen it once.
It's a little bit long-winded, and I get it. I completely understand. I like how the structure's different in the movie too. Doing what they did with the killer. I like things like that. It's kind of
I've seen this movie more than any other Argento film actually, which is weird. I think I've seen Suspiria maybe the same amount of times, but
kind of like the reverse Psycho thing right there.
It's not gotten worse for me. Like, I actually improved my rating the last 2 times I watched it. I am coming down a little bit on this one, but I just think it's good, man. It's just a good movie to me.
I think this movie would have benefited for a little bit more visuals. Not
It
just
could
playing
have
it
been better.
straightforward.
And yeah, I agree. Like they should have messed around with the art a little bit more because there's
Exactly.
a lot of art in it, and there's actually a lot of famous art that's like duplicated for the movie, just in the background, like paintings on the walls and stuff like that at the hotel.
Yeah.
But
I do like the fact that like in the progression of her personality change, there's a point where actually when she meets her new boyfriend at that art place, whatever, she's like literally looking at art and shit and not really.
Yeah,
being
she's like
affected by
super
it.
into art now.
Yeah, and because it's not affecting her because she's kind of being transformed personality wise, and I like that. I thought that was kind of cool. That's a good scene to have. Her literally holding tubes of paintings and no, that sounded wrong, but you know what I mean. She's flipping through them and looking and shit. But I wish there was more with her tripping out and hallucinating on the actual Stendhal Syndrome. The actual cause of it.
Apparently, director Dario Argento said he experienced the Stendhal Syndrome as a child while touring Athens with his parents. Young Dario was climbing the steps of the Parthenon when he was overcome by a trance that caused him to become lost from his parents for hours. The experience was so strong that Argento never forgot it and immediately thought of it when came across the book that this film was based on.
Is that the one that you see? The psychiatrist holds. Is that the same book?
Probably.
So. Yeah.
No, I didn't even realize that. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's one that she's reading.
Yeah. So, yeah. Ratings.
7 out of 10.
I like this movie a lot. Wow, Bridget Fonda was supposed to play Aja's character. It's weird. And then Jennifer Jason Leigh. Apparently Bridget Fonda is a massive Argento fan. So yeah, dude, I like this movie a lot. I think it's dope. I like it. I as long as it is, I don't mind watching it, which is weird because I'm a sucker for a film that's under 90 minutes, like especially in today's day and age where I have to watch so much. But yeah, I dig Stendhal, man. It's one of my favorite Argentos. It's just different. It's nothing like his other films, and I like that about it. It seems like a lot more serious than some of them with in terms of the subject matter, rape. And I think that the killer's good. He's definitely one of the most despicable because you see him on screen. Like, a lot of the killers in Argento movies are hidden until the end. But this guy's like front and center. And then we get a POV scene, as Mid said.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah, I kind of teeter on this one. I don't know where to really rate it. My original rating was a 7.5, but after multiple rewatches, I've climbed all the way to an 8.5. So I'm just gonna stick there. 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, you really love this one, man. I've seen it probably 4 times, 5 times. I don't know, a lot, enough. Every time I watch it, man, I wish he had taken a little bit of a different route and made it a little bit more visual, just considering the general idea of the Stendhal Syndrome. What you could possibly do with it, and especially for somebody so visual as Argento. I mean, you could probably shoot some amazing visual scenes and it would just really kind of spice up the film. The idea is really cool. Aja is good in this film. I did find it kind of strange that she never got naked in this one. Really?
Well, she is naked.
She is naked.
She's naked twice. You see her nipple in the rape too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's pretty. Yeah, he did a little bit more subtly in this one, I guess. I should say, but it's Argento. It's not as flashy as other films. Music's good. Morricone does a good job. Actually, the music is very fitting for this because it's kind of subtle, but it's nice. If that makes sense. It is long. Not my favorite Argento by any means. If I had to watch something, it would probably not be this movie. But I'm sticking with the rating I usually have on this one. 6.5 out of 10.
6.5 out of 10. Would you give it, Jeremy, a 7?
7.
I'm really shocked by that.
Why?
I actually did when we did the 96 show. I was like, I thought that you were gonna really like this one.
I do really like it. It's good. It's better, fucking hell of a lot better than that last movie. Fucking
Trauma. No, I mean, seven's good. Yeah,
it's good. I like it. I've only seen it once, so
yeah, you might come up like I did. I gave it a 7.5 when I first seen it. It's pretty cool, man. It's neat. Judging by my rating now, this actually would have been my 4th favorite or 4th best horror film of 96. Right after Thesis and before Dusk Till Dawn.
And this doesn't even make my top 10.
Yeah, and but as of right, where it ended up was 7th.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so that's Argento 4. Next year it would be Sleepless, Phantom of the Opera, and
Card Player.
The Card Player.
Yep.
Yeah, buddy.
What have you seen all those?
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen any of them, but I did get Sleepless's Patreon, so I'm gonna have to watch that.
I don't remember Sleepless that much. I remember Phantom of the Opera because I've only seen it once, and it was so bad. Like I just could not.
Is it 2 hours long?
I maybe it is too long. I don't know, but yeah, it's 100 minutes.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't even think that any of us thought these films, like Jeremy may have said it's bad, like slightly below average, but
no, it's bad.
Okay, so your rating says slightly below average.
I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on The Card Player.
So that's kind of interesting, where it's like, I would say most people would say that he hasn't actually made bad movies yet, but this next section, Phantom of the Opera, Sleepless, and Card Player, is kind of that section where allegedly they get bad. So I'm really interested about next year's Dario Argento, which I will make us do.
Sleepless is 2 hours long.
2 more years of Argento spotlights. So that's interesting.
Yeah, buddy.
That's the episode.
Huh. Yeah, man. And week 1 for Italian month. It was good. Good show.
Yeah, I love me some Argento, man. He's became like my second favorite filmmaker now. It's pretty nuts because I thought he was not very good at first when I only seen Suspiria. And then I ended up liking Suspiria after seeing it a few times.
I just find that so incredible. Man, see, I like with Suspiria, I remember the first time I watched Suspiria I was like drawn right into it.
See, the first time I watched it, you sent it to me, and I was like, "This is what all the hype was about. This sucks." And I was just like 6.5 out of 10. But I didn't really appreciate. I was just the story. I was just like, this is what everybody's hype about. I didn't really get it. You know what I mean? But now, obviously, I really like Argento. I've come around so much differently. And even in Italian horror month, Italian horror in general, dude, I feel like I'm actually know what's up now. You know what I mean? My strategy of a 4-year journey of making myself acquainted with Italian horror has worked, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you need to get
a master plan.
More equipped with the Bava films.
Well, maybe we should do Bava 2 next year then.
Not for me.
Yeah, you always just pick like the non-horrorist of non-horror guys for years.
Asamato is pretty horror.
I'm just kidding. What one?
Those are good films too. Those are good films.
Which one was Bianchi? He did the Solange.
No, he did. Buried Alive.
Oh, Burial Grounds. Yeah, I like
Burial
that.
Grounds.
Sorry, I was choking.
He did Burial Grounds, that piece of shit that Donanelli liked, Massacre.
Yeah, that's
and Strip Nude for Your Killer.
That movie, man. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was the worst. That was the worst week out of the 3, though. Out of the 4 last week.
Strip Nude is like the sleazy.
Burial Grounds is the best movie.
But Washing Machine isn't sleazy from what I've read.
Oh yeah.
Is it? Moods is like, you gotta just get the region 2. It's shaped like a washing machine. This is like his big selling point.
$40.
It's awesome.
$40, guys. Shaped like a washing machine.
I was shocked that it was still available because I thought it was completely deleted and gone and out of print. So I was like, holy shit, man, you can get that shit Prime. It's crazy. It's a cool edition, man. Very, very cool.
Yeah, Prime if you live in the UK. It's not Prime here.
Yeah. I got it years ago. I didn't pay that.
Yeah.
Of course you did.
14 pounds. 14
what's
pounds.
Next week?
Mod.
What is next? Oh, next week is...
Your guy.
Yeah, next week is Ruggero Deodato. And the films we are going to be covering... You know, I wanted to kind of pick one from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but I was like, I can't not do Cannibal Holocaust. Got to pick the film Cannibal Holocaust because, you know, that's one that we just got to talk about. And then I picked Cut and Run from the 80s and then 90s, The Washing Machine. So, you know, 3 completely different films. That was the point.
I've seen Cannibal Holocaust. So I've seen Cannibal Holocaust. Oh, dude, I own Cut and Run. It just literally popped out in my face, like right in. Jeez, actually, Moods, did you send me this?
Yeah, Code Red just put out a Blu-ray.
Or did Derek? I think Derek did. I got the Anchor Bay double feature with Dead End Drive-In.
Yeah.
Oh no, I have the single disc edition.
I got that.
Cool.
Code Red the Blu-ray is readily available. It's cheap too, man. Actually, they're putting out just the standard whatever, and it's like fucking dirt cheap, even on Amazon. So it's probably $15, $14 for you guys.
I'd probably say it's about time we discuss Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about it, man.
It's been a long time.
Through that whole review, I'm going to throw in my awesome limited Cannibal Holocaust vinyl.
We all know how much I love cannibal films. So,
have you seen Cannibal Holocaust?
Nope.
Oh,
whoa! We got a virgin here, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't just mean in one way.
Yep. That's true. Thanks for the third virgin joke tonight. I appreciate it. I've now come out of the closet.
Listen, dude, I'm marking my words. Cannibal Holocaust is way better than you would think it is. And let me get back to me next week.
All right.
Yeah, dude, it's on a different level, and the story behind it's incredible too.
Oh, I know the story.
It's the reason for the whole video now. It's crazy.
Maybe I'll watch the animal-free killing version from Grindhouse this time.
They have that?
Well, they've got both. You can watch it without the animal killings.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
I can't remember. I said that somewhere, and then someone called me a pussy, and I was like, no, I didn't say I watch it like that. I said you can watch it like that.
Oh, you watching it like that?
I
never do because my mentality is like if I have an uncut version, I'm always going to watch that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. But that's the only thing it cuts, right? It's just the animal killings.
Yeah, no, it's just the animal killings. But,
yeah. I might watch it just because I'm not, like, I understand why they were there and stuff like that, and they ate the animals or whatever.
Yeah.
It already affected me as much as it's going to affect me. I don't really need to see it again. So I might just actually do that.
The turtle one is brutal, but...
That's the one
it's still so brutal to me, man.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man. Anyways, Ruggero Deodato next week. Gonna be awesome. Looking forward to it, so...
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I actually was very happy with this year's Italian Horror Month as a whole.
Besides me, right?
Until after we watched the Fernando Di Leo.
I'm just busting your balls because when I search the movies, they say that they're not horror on IMDb.
Yeah, well, Fernando Di Leo is like considered to be one of the best Italian, crime directors.
And the fact that whenever I go to buy them, it's in the crime box set. That's why I was like,
Naked Violences, Naked Violences, yeah.
It's in the crime box set. And I'm like, wait a minute. This isn't a horror box set. This is a fucking crime box set. Italian crime box set. I'm like, Jesus.
Some good ass films in there. In both those sets, man. Those are awesome.
Are they horror? Let me ask you that.
What?
The 3 films that he picked. You've seen them, right?
Yeah, I've seen all 3 of them. I've reviewed Madness. I've reviewed Slaughter Hotel and Madness on this show before. Yeah, Madness and Slaughter Hotel are definitely in that realm of horror for sure, 100%. Okay. Naked Violence is more I would consider it more crime. Yeah.
Is it horror at all? Is it like 10% horror?
Yeah, it definitely has elements in there for sure.
Black Pharaoh wasn't horror.
Yeah. Naked Violence has its moments, but Slaughter Hotel is like it's almost like a slasher film, and it's like a really sleazy film, and Madness is like a home invasion film. So,
all right,
fuck you. 2 out of 3 is good.
2 out of 3 is acceptable for Italian Horror Month. Italian horror.
You didn't want to do
Naked Violence is really good from what I remember. So
wait, we didn't want to do what?
The Mondo Cane guy, because...
Was that because he wasn't Italian?
Oh, here we go.
Hey, guys.
Oh,
what
dude,
do you
was
think?
so funny.
He made Italian films.
The Italian Horror Month, and some of them weren't even fully Italian. Some of them weren't even Italian, I think, the ones that you picked. Let's see. Italian Horror Month, would you think that it would include Italian directors?
No, would it be a good idea to include
we never said
non-Italian
that.
directors?
We never said it has to be a director spotlight.
Yeah, we did. That's what we said. 4 director spotlights.
All right, yeah. So DeLeo is week 3, and then of course week 4 is picked by Derek. Derek actually picked an entire one. So he picked Joe D'Amato. Which is another name that we needed to get to. Yeah, Joe D'Amato's been definitely on the wish list of directors to do, but films are Beyond the Darkness, Anthropophagus, and Absurd. Which
I was really happy that he picked that guy because I literally have all 3 of those. Right.
Yep. Thanks, Severin.
I reviewed Beyond the Darkness, I think, a long time ago on here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a fun show. That'll be a fun. It depends, because I've always said Anthropophagus is like one of those absolute mood films for me. Sometimes I don't dig it, and sometimes I do. So hopefully,
we had that Derek dude on the show.
Is Derek? Is he doing D'Amato with us? I don't know.
We can invite him on.
Greg, why did I open my mouth?
If anyone's still listening to the show right now, then let us know if you want Derek on the show.
Well, we all know Derek's listening, so
most people will say yes, just out of niceness.
Well,
they don't have to answer at all because we don't know they're listening. So.
Why are you so afraid of guests?
I liked Andrew. That was fun. That was the best episode ever.
I thought that episode was really good, too.
I destroyed him.
That's the worst episode ever.
Well, because you set me up, and 2, Andrew was this.
Here you go with the setup again. Jesus Christ!
Because you did set me up.
Your idea of setups is very.
You literally said, "I
you're
can't
living in
wait
a fantasy
to hear
world."
what Andrew says about The Curve. That movie's trash, and then you gave it an above trash rating. You set me up.
No, I did not set you up, man. No.
Dude.
Yep.
Anyways, that is going to conclude episode.
Just like how you set me up last week with 1984 being considered not horror, even though it was on the Letterboxd list.
So was
dude. We did not set you up. Me and Brandon had decided.
I had Blade Runner on there.
But we were fucking watching exploitation films on there too, and we
Bronx Warrior.
And Jeremy, to be honest, we actually said, "Do what you want with the list."
I agree.
We just chose not to put it on, and me and Brandon had the exact same. It's just not horror. It's a great fucking movie.
I put fucking Paradise Lost, The Child Murders of Robin Hood Hills on my list.
Yeah. Otherwise, I would have had it on there too. I love that movie.
Dude, that movie it's good, but top 10 good?
What, Paradise Lost or?
No.
Oh.
Of course that's
Class 84 is so I love that movie.
It's just can't buy it 100%.
Man,
can't buy it.
It was the very first movie I watched for that show too.
Me too.
It's good shit, man. That's it for 146. Jeremy, take us out of here.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening to episode 146 of the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast. As always, if you want to follow the man Moods himself, you could do so at youtube.com/mood616. And please do yourself a favor and go over to the JP's channel and tell him how much he sucks for fouling 31 Days of Horror. youtube.com/doubleshotj. So as you can follow me on my channel at youtube.com/NESruler22. So as please follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/22shotspodcast. Email us any questions you have at the 22 shots of moods and horror at gmail.com. That's the 22 shots of moods and horror at gmail.com. And as always, please leave us a voicemail now that we answer them. 724-426-6665. Please join us on the Facebook page, facebook.com, search bar 22 shots of moods and horror podcast. And please support the Patreon to get the sand sucked out of my vagina. Patreon.com/22 shots podcast. That should do it, everybody, for episode 146 of the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast. We'll be back next week with week 2 of Italian Horror Month. That should do it. Goodbye, and fuck you, Jerry.
Yeah.